Us for a part of your day as we are at 6 days from herstory. 6 days until we can look at reshaping America. 6 days until we can move on. 6 days until we can start prioritizing the rights of people in our society. 6 days until we can protect women. 6 days until we can start towards progress toward a brighter future. Right? How many times have I told you, friends, elections are about contrast, right? I know you're probably like, specs, dude, we get it. But it's true, right? We have so many examples, and I think last night was a really, really good one. Last night was a really, really good one. Thank you, George, for starting us off today. Everybody, you guys know the drill. Tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Please, let's get out to the FYP as soon as we can. Really, really appreciate that. A lot of left-wing creators are under assault in the TikTok streets, so the more you can help us, the more we can help you. We have a new badge up on our background here. This is the United States Election Assistance Commission. There's a toll-free number that you can call if you see any sort of nefarious activities. It is 866-747-1471. That's 866-747-1471. If you have questions about voter registration, voting in your state, or need contact information for your state or local office, you can also find them at www.eac.gov/vote. For your safety and security, please do not include any personal identifiable information when submitting a question or comment to the EAC. Personal information includes, but is not limited to, full or partial social security numbers, driver's license numbers, dates of birth, and mailing addresses. Again, that's EAC, the Election Assistance the Election Assistance Commission, in case you see something. So, gifting gold today, please consider contributing to that. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Please consider joining us in our Discord. You can find the link to that in the link tree that's in my bio. My pay apps are in my bio. If you like what we do here and you want to throw a couple bucks our way, happy to help. All of our money raised this week will go to help a friend in need who is really found a mountain of medical bills related to their pet. And since my dog got his doghood taken care of yesterday, we all understand how important our furry friends are to us. Again, it's really important to continue joining the Discord. By the way, new merch. Check this one out. So you have to ask the question, you should be more zen. And then you respond, I am fucking zen. You get it? That's available in the merch store. If you like what you see in the merch store and you want to save 10%, you can subscribe to our channel. Subscribers who do that get a benefit. You'll be pointed to the subscribers only section of our Discord where we stream movies and the like. And you all get a 10% off coupon. So here's the deal. What we saw last night, yeah, it's great, right? I am fucking zen. Have to ask the question. What we saw last night was just, it's the closing case, right? I mean, Kamala Harris has made the case without question. She has made the case, and it's up to us now. Remember, there is more of us than there are of them. And if you look at the polling leading up to the election, you look at the mail-in votes so far, you look at early voting so far, and there's an overwhelming referendum that we're seeing from voters in our country because, again, elections are about contrast. Last night on the ellipse in front of the White House, I mean, look at that look right there, right? It's not a coincidence that rally was held on the ellipse. It's not a coincidence. Let's keep in mind, excuse me. Let's keep in mind that the ellipse was where the Stop the Steal rally was held, where, Donald Trump, the insurrectionist, gathered his insurrectionist traitors, and they had attempted to subvert democracy. That's where it all started. So it's not a coincidence. Not a coincidence that event was there. And it was, estimates there were 65, 70, 80,000 people. I don't even really know. It doesn't really matter. But I think you're making the case to America to remind people, the right, of course, does not want to talk about J6 because why would they? Why would they? So you get this picture, right? So that's the last message. There'll be a few more campaign stops between now and then, but that was an intentional message a week out by design. This campaign has been amazing. I mean, you're talking about checking all the boxes. You've got a grassroots ground game in Pennsylvania that is turning out the vote. We could look at some of the early voting in in Pennsylvania. She's building nearly a 400,000 vote lead so far. So that can weather any storm, right? And again, she wins Pennsylvania, she wins the election. It's that simple. That's the math. We don't need anything more than 270, right? And I want to touch on the whole secret plan thing in just a moment. But again, when you've got Kamala Harris up there and this positive message of positivity and encouragement and a little bit of joy, and you want to criticize her because she laughs or whatever else. Meanwhile, you get Trump on Lie Social, and this is the message that he's trying to. This is the message that he's trying to send to his base, and I think it's amazing. And I have to do this. Hold on.
Well, I'm running a campaign of positive solutions to save America. Kamala Harris is running a campaign of hate. She spent all week comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass unalivers in history. Gee, maybe I shouldn't have acted like Schmittler. Anyway, now, on top of everything, Joe Biden calls our supporters garbage. You can't lead America if you don't love the American people. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have shown they are both unfit to be president of the United States. I'm proud to lead the biggest, broadest, and most important political coalition in American history. We are welcoming historic numbers of Latinos. Maybe I shouldn't have called Puerto Rico an island of garbage. Anyway, African Americans. Maybe I shouldn't talk about black jobs or say that she turned black. Anyway, Asian Americans. Maybe I shouldn't have referred to COVID as the China virus. Anyway, citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Maybe I shouldn't be anti-Semitic. Anyway, it's my desire to be the president of all the people. MAGA 2024.
I mean, what else is there to say? You literally, you try to make the case to your voters that you are this pillar of sincerity and this pillar of positivity, and you literally are coming off of 2 days where people in your own party are going after you for what you did. And here's the evidence. So Nikki Haley, who is nobody's friend, she appeared on Fox so Safe Space. Nikki Haley was also going to be, a surrogate, was going to go out campaigning, and she hasn't really done that. And I think she's been conspicuously absent from the trail. Right. So everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Let's get to 50,000K if we can as quickly. And our friend Ala will be joining us around 9. Please consider tapping. Please consider contributing a heart right here. You know the drill. So she's out on Fox, right? And she's talking about what happened and in response to how, because remember, the Republican Party needs more voters. They are down to the only group of people that still overwhelmingly supports them are people who look like me, white men. So when he's talking about Latinos, African Americans, Asian Americans, citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed, he's losing in every demographic category. And he knows it. So this is what Nikki Haley had to say. And again, she's on Fox. I just think it's interesting.
Right to denounce the comedian. They need to go and tell Puerto Ricans how much, they do value them. They need to tell Latinos that. But they also need to look at how they're talking about women. I mean, this bromance and this masculinity stuff, I mean, it borders on edgy to the point that it's going to make women uncomfortable. You've got affiliated PACs that are doing commercials about calling Kamala the C word, or you had speakers at Madison Square Gardens, referring to her and her pimps. That is not the way to win women. That is not the way to win people who are concerned about Trump style. This is a time to talk about the economy. This is the time to talk about immigration. This is the time to talk about national security. And this is the time to talk about Kamala.
Look, sorry that the audio was a little quiet there. Anyways, Nikki Haley talking about how you're not going to be able to attract more voters, like I was just talking about. I'm sorry about that. The audio was really, really low on that. Anyway, she was saying, you've got PACs out there, Donald Trump supporting political action committees or PACs, running ads calling Kamala the C word and talking about her supporters as her pimps. And you're trying to get more votes. So again, the question I'm going to be asking today, if anybody wants to answer it, is what is the strategy? So from my perspective, I'm looking at this objectively from the political strategy lens, right? We know the message of the Harris campaign. It's about positivity. It's about, what is it? What is that C word, friends? Contrast. It's about making the case to America that, listen, I am not perfect. She even talked about it in her speech last night. I'm not perfect. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand there. I'm going to stand with you in the fight. Sure, we can believe whatever we want from politicians, but we can take her at her word. She's been serving government. She's served at every single branch. Meanwhile, you've got the guy on the other side who's talking about the enemy from within, all the horrible things he said about anybody who doesn't look like him, basically, minus the orange spray paint. That's it. And then again, contrast, Marco Rubio. recently. I'd like you to hear what he had to say, because this again speaks to exactly what we're talking about.
Have the guy that she picked that they want people to vote for to be the next vice president of the United States, comparing supporters of Donald Trump to the Nazis in Germany.
Too bad it's true.
By the way, Hillary Clinton said the exact same thing, but the same thing. Like, usually.
Listen. Yep.
No. Sorry, guys. Joe Biden already took that line. Did you hear him say that? He wants to lock up Donald Trump. But he meant it in the political sense. He meant in whatever, you know. Anyways, this stuff is not coming from like random. These are like the guy who wants to be vice president, the failed presidential candidate of 2016. Has she conceded that election yet? I don't think
Yes, she did. The night of.
And then MSNBC. Oh, forget it. Never mind. I don't even talk about it.
Anyway, you get the idea. So we've been saying this all along, right? When you have no policy platform, when you have no sense of self, when you have no sense of what the American people need, when you are out of touch, you are a broke-ass fucking billionaire who doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself, a malignant narcissist on day one. This is what you get. You get people like Marco Rubio, who used to be considered a rising star in the Republican Party. Remember that famous, he did the response speech to one of Barack Obama's State of the Unions, and he kept grabbing for his water. Remember that? That's like his Howard Dean moment. The reality of him being out on the trail trying to flip the narrative, and then Donald Trump using Truth Social to say we're running a positive campaign. They are desperate. They are absolutely desperate. So that's the question I'm going to be asking this morning. For anybody on the right anybody, I mean, this could be open for anybody. What do you think their strategy is aside from the obvious, right? So before we do that, I actually have a guest request. So I'll bring up Yolnada. Okay. Good morning. How are you today?
Not bad. Just giving you a heads up. It's still the I lost my account to MAGA's reporting people for misinformation.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Not bad. So
What's on your mind?
can you explain to me this? Like I need to know this. I work with people who make less than 70K a year, saying that Trump is going to help the economy. When Elon Musk just came out yesterday saying that, yeah, I know Trump's economic plan is going to hurt thousands, millions of Americans, will probably cost you $4,000 extra dollars a year. To you got Puerto Ricans, just like the Haitians, are saying, end quote, oh, he didn't make fun of Puerto Rico. He didn't say anything. It was a joke. The guy was a comedian. I'm like, dude, that guy was a low-rated comedian. All the people that came to that rally or spoke on that rally had some gross, nasty things to say about the VP. And then the fact is, too, the man said, end quote, we have the worst pullout game. We have all these people. He's like, you know what all Latinos do, this, that, and the third. I'm just like, come on, man. This is crazy. Like, you can't spin this anymore. I don't know how people are still spinning this. It's like, listen, I have a 2-year-old, right? By the time he turns to 13, I'm gonna tell him your word is bond. You can spin it all you want when you're young because you're young and you're impressionable. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want me to lose respect. You don't want to lose. You don't want me to lose respect to you or whatever. But once you're in your teenage years, you're gonna be a man. You gotta be a man of your word. But these people are spinning it, saying he didn't say this. These people didn't say that. And then, like for example, like 50 Cent, for example, and I give him credit. He turned down $3 million to go sing his song "Mini Man" on at
That's
the
right.
MSG, and I'm like, listen, that man already knew what was up.
Exactly.
He will not say it, but he knew what was up from day one.
Yeah. So to your point, I think the reason that you don't understand, friend, and it's good that you don't understand, is because we can never behave like that. I mean, look, political strategy is defined. Your policies and your strategy tends to align with your values. So we can look at Kamala Harris. I mean, she's served the people of California. She's served the people of the United States, which is what she's done. She comes from middle class roots. We know her story. It is about the American, it's literally about the American dream, especially for black women. And yet we have Donald Trump, who's never worked a day in his life. And he's been a criminal, a fraud, a liar, a misogynist, a rapist, a criminal. I mean, you name it. That's who he is. So that is their message. You know, we see it now more and more and more about people saying, I don't care that he's a convict. I'm still going to vote for him. I don't care that he raped somebody. I'm still going to vote for him because gas prices were lower. I don't care that he's having conversations with Russia behind the scenes, but Joe Biden, like, I mean, they're just, it's the delusion, friend. It's the delusion. But 6 days. 6 days.
I mean, dude, listen, we got people in law enforcement, right? I have a coworker that used to be in law enforcement, right? We told him, yo, how are you gonna say the court was rigged when the guy fell asleep in the courtroom, didn't stand for the jury, didn't stand for the judge, he slept. Listen, that's the one thing you don't do is you sleep in a courtroom, and he slept in the courtroom. And then not only that, the fifth thing that was the nail in the coffin, his defense changed 8 times in the span of 1 month. 8 times.
I know.
But,
Thanks,
but
brother.
the, but the,
We
but
got
the,
6 days. We got work to do, right?
Yes, sir. Already
Appreciate
voted,
your-
but yes, sir.
I appreciate you being here, friend. You have a good day,
Yep.
okay?
You too.
See you later.
Yep.
So, you know, and it brings up a good point, and it's the same thing we've been saying. You know, elections are about contrast. You can make a direct comparison to the people that are doing the work, Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Literally, there's, if you cannot see the difference between the two party platforms, I don't know what you've been paying attention to. There is nothing coming from the right. There hasn't been any legitimate policy in 40 years, 50 years. I mean, legitimate policy that helps the working man. You know, the working poor, as we like to say. But everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Appreciate you guys for being here. I'll bring up Beverly. Hey, Swish. Good morning, Beverly. How are you today? Beverly? Beverly, are you there? I guess not. All right. So I want to touch on, I had another thought, and it's funny that I saw a video from Hawk yesterday, and I was thinking the same thing that he was. So this whole statement that Trump made, this nod to Mike Johnson during the MSG rally, you know, the fascist fun fest, about the secret plan that they've hatched. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday about how, you know, the way our system works, the new House, and it's very likely, very, very likely, that's what all the polling indicates. And again, the Democrats are raising money and they're running in seats that have been, you know, a positive Biden district. And again, more energy to the campaign, again, more money in the ground game, all that kind of stuff. Those things matter. So the very strong likelihood is that the Dems are going to retake the House. And I feel more confident than I have in the past about the Senate just because of a couple of surprise races. Like, I think Colin Allred is going to beat Ted Cruz. And I think Debbie Murcassel Powell has a strong shot at beating Rick Scott in Florida. 2 things to keep in mind, right? Voter registration is on the increase in Florida. We've seen a shift now. We've seen a major shift now in Hispanic and Latino vote, not just because of the fact that Democrats have a really good ground game, but because of the hateful things that we're seeing from the right. So those things coupled with abortion rights and legal 420 on the ballot in Florida. So those things are opportunities. Anyway, back to the House. So this whole secret plan, people all freaked out about it. So the new House would then get sworn in on January 3rd. So if it were to be the Democrats, a very strong likelihood. So I think that 3rd is a Friday. So the Democrats will have their act together. They'll immediately vote Hakeem Jeffries to be the Speaker of the House. And then he will be overseeing, along with Kamala Harris, the election certification on January 6th. So that's one thing. Okay, that's one part. Now, there could be some more nefarious activity. Who knows what they have planned? Who knows? They suck at cooing, C-O-U-P, cooing, right? Here's another thought. Joe Biden has already done some of one of the most selfless things you will ever see in American politics. When you achieve power, the last thing you want to do is give it up. He said, country over party, country over self. A last heroic, symbolic, not even symbolic, a last heroic, selfless act would be for him to resign the presidency right now. And then she becomes the president. So it's a hell of a lot more difficult to remove somebody from an office than it would be for somebody to get that office. So there are levers. There are levers in the system. I'm not saying that he'll do that. I'm not saying that would be the plan, but he could do that at any moment. He literally could do that at any moment, either between now and election day or post election day up until January 20th at noon, right? So that's something to think about. Again, everybody breathe, everybody namaste right here and talk about this until we elect Kamala Harris as the new president. Namaste. This is the reality of our world that we live in, though. Is we have to be talking about these things because the right is a fascist regime that wants to change the face of America to make it look more like me and not accepting the results according to our census and the demographic shift in our country, that we are not going to be a YT nation in 25, 30 years, or even less than that. The diversity is changing, and that's really what we want. That's what America stands for. So those are the things that, the levers within government that can be pulled. I'm not saying that it will happen, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Okay. All right. I want to talk about some more. We've got, again, more data. The reference source that we use is targetearly.targetsmart.com. And it's a great resource. It's really interactive. It's easy to use. If I can use it, y'all can use it. So absentee voting so far, this is as of this morning at 4 a.m. Eastern time, 48,157,400 votes have been cast early. That's 40.7% of the total votes in the 2020 election. So 41% of all votes cast in 2020 have already been cast. And it's 53% have been cast by women. 53%. And the party breakdown is let's see, it's 20 almost 24 million for Dems and 21 million for Republicans. So that gap, I've been watching that gap's getting wider and wider and wider. What we know is that there's a lot of movement within the Republican Party that they're not going to vote for Trump. I'm not saying all of them are going to vote for Kamala Harris, but when you're seeing registration, when you're seeing rallies, when you're seeing fundraising, when you're seeing ads coming out from Never Trump groups, and the popularity of Kamala Harris is growing in the Republican Party, when you get people that have always been respected by traditional Republicans, conservatives like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, Adam Kinzinger out on the trail. And so you're going to see a shift. So just because you're a registered Republican and or you've submitted a vote as a Republican does not mean it's going to Donald Trump. Pennsylvania, again, she's got a 400,000 vote lead there. So these are the things that we should really be talking about. I'm feeling good. I am feeling really, really good. The work doesn't end on November 6th, right? It does not end that day. It gets harder after that because we, people on the left who believe that government can function for you, are the only ones that have made it clear that we're willing to hold our elected officials accountable. I don't want to sit by and have people just, what do we got here? No, it wouldn't limit her to one term. No, because this would be, Steve Antioch, good question. Wouldn't that limit her to one term if Biden resigned? No, it wouldn't, because she's still the candidate for president. We can check on that, but I don't think that would be the case because she would be. I think you have to serve a minimum of 2 years in the role for it to count as a term. I think that's the question. I read about that recently. Anyway, we'll look into that. But once again, we will hold our elected officials accountable. I want to remind people of the severity of what we're talking about here because on the positive side, Elizabeth Warren came out just recently and talked about the things that we would do. We go down the checklist. You're talking about attempt to codify Roe, protections for labor unions, get rid of the filibuster so we can pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. All these kinds of things are just, again, it's just low-hanging fruit that any functioning democracy should have. We have to stop considering ourselves, liberal and conservative because we are a center-right country and we have been for a very long time. The country needs to move left. Now, do we believe in the expansion of the Supreme Court? You could make the case constitutionally, you could support it. Absolutely. The court is not supposed to be lopsided like it is. It's not. That's why this particular chapter in our history has been so despicable, because you have a severely conservative tilted court. And you can see it by the laws they pass, whether it be Chevron, whether it be Dobbs. They want to go after Obergefell. They want to go after, protections for corporations. And they've become a political wing. And it's not supposed to be by design. It's supposed to be the barrier for politicization, whatever. Politicization, exactly. Thank you. You're welcome. Voices in my head. The reality of our circumstances here is that we really have a chance to change this whole thing. And I believe, and again, Kamala Harris is a status quo Democrat. Let's be real, all right? Which I'm fine with because I believe in her. And I also believe that she sees the future as that we need to be more progressive. Again, I've said this before. I don't want small bites of the apple. Expansion of the ACA is fine. And actually, I'm on the ACA right now, and it's not perfect, but it works. I don't want little bites. I want universal health care. That's what I want. I don't want 1 or 2 point increase on corporate tax rates. I want to jack it back up to before Obama took office. We got to make changes. It takes courage in politics, right? Because everybody wants to think about their next election. I want a candidate that's going to say, I want to do what's right. That's what Joe Biden did. I want to do what's right. Meanwhile, what does the Trump Republican platform offer you? What does it offer? It doesn't offer anything. There's no vision. Every time you guys talk about things, you say, well, I want gas prices the way they were. There's no positive approach to anything about the future. Good morning, me. How are you today?
I'm good. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm really offended by Kamala Harris's rally because the Triple K did a rally there in 1924.
Where?
In the mall.
Okay, so then were you offended by Donald Trump's then?
Well, if that's what we're gonna do, we're gonna call it a Nazi rally, and I'm Jewish, so I'm kind of
Yahtzee.
offended by that.
Yahtzee. Let's not use the word, sir.
Oh,
Okay.
Yahtzee. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just do the same thing. I'll call it. The same
Are
thing.
you trolling my guy? Because you're not trying to make that comparison because every president has done speeches from the ellipse. That's nothing new.
Well, if that's what they're gonna call it, then that's what I'm gonna call it, bro. Have a good day.
Goodbye, fascist. You have a good day. You see? You see what I mean? All right, let's look at I want to look at Pennsylvania from a early voting perspective. Box is open. Happy to talk to anybody. You've got something on your mind, how you feeling about things. I'm just going to look at Florida really quick. I've been curious about Florida, and I've been keeping my eye on Florida. So we've got an interesting divide. So far, the early vote is the Republicans in the state of Florida are leading the Dems from an early voting perspective by about 300,000 votes. Okay. But the overwhelming majority of votes come in so far, 55% have been from women. So we don't know how that's going to shake out. But the fact that we've got this really strong candidate, Debbie Murcaso-Powell, who joined us a few weeks ago and running in her race, and I reached out to her team yesterday just to wish them luck. Legal 420, just the fact that Ron DeSantis is so unpopular. We have an opportunity to really make an impact on an election like we've never done before. So anyway, you guys know what to do. Please keep tapping and sharing. Robbie, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Just wanted to pop up really quick before I head to work. I listen to you every morning while I'm having my coffee, and I really, really appreciate everything that you do and everything that you say.
Thank you.
I'm voting for Kamala Harris from Ohio. Kamala Harris from Ohio. And I just can't wrap my head around anyone who would still think that voting for Trump is a good thing.
Agreed.
That's really all I have to say. Gonna head to work, but I just wanted to say keep up the good work. I'll listen to you as I head in, and I think we're gonna win it.
I think so too, Robbie. Thank you very much for the support. You have a good day out there.
Of course, you too. Bye bye.
See you later. Another example that liberals work. Yeah, we do. It's crazy, right? All right, Nikki's got to do some mod announcements. And by the way, friends, we're streaming on YouTube. If you guys wouldn't mind heading on over there and making a comment, subscribing, you can find the link to the YouTube channel that's in the link tree that's in my bio. Hi, Nikki.
Good morning. Hey, everybody. Okay, so we have over 1,000 people in here and only 279 shares. So can everybody please put your finger on the middle screen, and an entire list will come up, and share it down to everybody that you have in your list. Let's get back out to the FYP since we were off a little bit time yesterday. You guys can also tap and share with hearts and everything on the top. And on the top, there is a little yellow, not yellow, the little orange heart. If you can send that, it costs 1 coin. What it does is just joins the team, and it pushes it out to the FYP to show that there's engagement in the live. In Fax's bio, there's also a link to the Discord. It's also in Gregory's bio. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it does not work and you can't get in, please just tag one of the mods and we will get you the link directly. We have subscribers only channel in there that does have benefits. We're going to be, I don't know, do you have an update on the apprentice thing?
Yeah, it's still. We could talk
Nothing
about
yet.
it, but the
Okay.
it feels
So-
like we got. It feels like a lot of the supporters got scammed a little bit, which is sad.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yep.
So, well, we do have subscriber only stuff that's in the Discord, but you do not have to be a subscriber to join the Discord.
Correct.
We do have a merch store, which is also in there, which is really great. I need that shirt. That shirt's made for me.
Ask me. Say facts. You should be more zen.
In fact, you should be more zen.
I am fucking zen.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. You should have seen me last night when the Yankees were playing.
Yeah, it's nice to get a win. Anyway, thank you for all
So
that, Nikki.
if you
I appreciate
guys
it.
can keep on doing that, and let's get up, guys. We still only have. If everybody could share it one time, if you don't have anyone to share it to, just click copy link one time. That also counts as a share. We just need to get the numbers back over to moving onto the FYP. I do want to also remind you, if you're in Georgia in District 11, please write in the Tracy Verhoeven. We have a fake Democrat here, and today's the last day for all of this shenanigans that are going on. And I did notice something this morning on the polls. They're saying that this is how many Republicans have voted, this is how many Democrats have voted, but we're finding that a lot of Republicans are saying that they're voting for her.
Yeah.
So just because they're saying that certain demographics are voting, they're still not saying what's coming.
Well, you wouldn't know that until the actual.
Right.
You
So
talk about
I
an
have a
individual
feeling
vote, just the party affiliation. Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna make my call. My call is she's gonna win by almost twice what Biden did.
In Georgia,
Yeah, no, across the country. Georgia's gonna be blue. I'm telling you.
that wouldn't be possible because there wouldn't be enough electoral votes for her to win by twice.
No. I mean by popular vote.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
I think the popular vote's gonna be an enormous amount.
we will see. Thank you,
That's
Nikki.
me.
I
Okay,
appreciate you,
guys.
friend.
So keep tapping, sharing, and the shares are not going up. Come on, guys. Don't make me come up here again. Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
All right, bye. So I wanted to talk about Pennsylvania really quickly because again, Pennsylvania, the whole deal. It's almost a 400,000 vote lead based on absentee and early ballots by party. So it's 844,000 as of this morning that are Democrat ballots, and then compared to 471,000 that are Republican ballots. So that's a massive lift that the Republicans are going to have to do. They don't have a very good ground game. We know that. They're not drawing new voters. So have they maxed out? Have they tapped out on all the votes they're going to be able to get between now and election day? We'll see. We will see. I'll bring up our friend Danny. Actually, before I let Danny speak, I'm going to give this background because I think it's necessary. How are you, friend?
I'm good. How are you, friend?
I'm good. So let's do this since you're going to be part of our fun on election day.
Yay. Do I have that? Somebody should send me that.
I sent it to
can-
you. You can check
you?
again. But it's also we sent it to you in the Discord too. But we can
Thank
get it
you.
again.
Awesome. Yeah,
You're
no, I was gone for 8 days traveling and have just been flying by the seat of my pants since I got back. So I appreciate you doing all the heavy lifting, putting together all the images and graphics, and so that I can share them and do some videos today. So I appreciate it.
No sweat.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I wanted to take a second to share with you. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I do a lot of work in the rural and small town part of politics. Right. I'm from small town USA in Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. And a lot of people always think that rural means Republican, and it does not, right?
Good point.
So last year I did a project for an organization that's called ruralorganizing.org. They are a C4. And we did a project where what I did was I looked at election data in 17 battleground states across the entire country. And I took election data from 2020 all the way through 2023 where applicable. And then I analyzed the presidential, gubernatorial, Senate, and House races for every year that there was an election within those states. And I manually did a comparison of the votes cast, like what were the margins, what were the percentage of voters that were registered that actually turned out to vote, all of the things. And so I did this huge project. You can actually find it on their website, but it's, if you just type in like, let me see what they ended up titling it. It is 2024 report, 100 rural power building counties. So the focus was to identify.
Danny, excuse me one second. You keep educating them. Somebody's at my door. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. No worries. All right. So let me ask you this. So for you guys, if anybody here lives in a ex-urban or rural community or small town, do me a favor and put like a little yellow heart in the comments. Show me a yellow heart if you live in a small town or rural community, because this information is really for you. And I want to give you something so that you feel seen. A lot of times in small towns and rural communities, people feel like, oh, well, we're not seen. We don't matter. Nobody comes to talk to us until it's election time. Look how many of you guys there are. That's flipping amazing. I love this. Okay, so I'm from a small town too, right? So by the census standards, they consider a small town to be a town that has, roughly 25,000 people or less, give or take, right? Some of y'all know what it means to be really, really small. Some of y'all know that that's about what it is, but there's a fair number of you in here, okay? So here's what I did. I took all this election data from 2020 all the way through 2023. And I manually crunched the numbers. So blue dot in Kentucky, I want to bet that you're not the blue dot that you think you are. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of times in those areas, we think that we're blue dots because that we're quiet, right? In small towns, it's like, listen, we're not allowed to say that we're Democrats. You don't want to get kicked off the PTA. You want to make sure that you can still be a deacon or a deaconess at church, like all the things that happen in small towns that keep people from talking about being progressive or being Democrats, right? So when I did all this election data, what I did was I started with what we would call our battleground or our swing states. Those states where we had margins that, that were slim. And then I went into the counties. And I looked at counties that had margins of 10% or less. And then I identified the counties that kept showing up, Steve, from one election to the next, where those margins were smaller, to identify the counties where we could move the needle from a progressive perspective. And then once I identified those repeating counties, then I looked for where could we build power. And what I mean by that is, out of all of those counties, do they share the same seats? Like, how is this done? And I went at it from a total data-driven perspective. So it wasn't like, oh, like, I'd like to get rid of him, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let me just do that. Nope. It's where does the data show us we can go? And so check this out. So you mentioned Pennsylvania. I want to give you some info on Pennsylvania that might surprise you. So for Pennsylvania, and then I'm going to tell you why this is important, because a new study came out yesterday that's incredibly powerful. So check this out. So in Pennsylvania, Center, Luzerne, Monroe, Pike, and Washington counties. Those are 5 rural counties, and they make Pennsylvania a triple threat this year, right? So get this, the presidential, Senate, and House District 8 elections all had margins that were less than 5%. The presidential election was 1.2%. The Senate election was 4.92%. And District 8 in the House was only 2.4%. Respectively,
so that's
right?
So that 2020 and 2022 because of the House race?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I did all the data from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, all the way, whatever you had,
Wow.
because so check this out. So investing in the rural game in these areas for progressive campaigns is like a no-brainer. So get this.
Money.
There are 286,393 rural people in just those 5 counties, right? While not all of them are registered voters, there are enough to cover the voting difference of all 3 elections.
Interesting.
Right? So if there was a combined effort of voter registration, education, and turnout, it makes Pennsylvania one of the strongest power plays in the rural game. So I did this literally for 17 different states, okay? Now, study that came out yesterday, small changes in rural vote could decide swing states in 2024. I've been talking about this for a long time. Yep. If we move the needle in rural places by just 3 points, 3 to 4 points, she wins like astronomically. It's really crazy. And so the data actually,
Danny, it may not even need to be that many. It may not need to be 3 or 4 points. It could be 1 or 2 points. If you're talking, because think about the margins already and how slim they've been in some of the traditional swing states, right? I mean, I hear you. 3 or 4 would be massive, but it may not even need to be 3 or 4%.
no, it may not be, but I want rural people to understand just how much power you have in this election. So, so this is what will get you. So check this out. In North Carolina, which we know, so I used to live in North Carolina, love North Kakalaki. So let me tell you this. I'm going to give you Anson, Lenore, Martin, Nash, Pasquotank, Scotland, and Washington counties, right? So get this. They had 80,600 registered voters that did not vote in the 2020 presidential election. The election was decided by 74,483 votes.
That's right.
So in just those counties that I named, which was what, 7 of them? In just those 7 counties, there were enough non-voting registered voters to make up the difference for the presidential election in 2020.
And then some. And they don't have I mean, who in there talk about voter suppression? They're suppressing their own vote within the Republican Party because of Mark Robinson.
Yep.
And because of everything else. Right now, the gap, just so you know, the gap between women and men in North Carolina, again, as of this morning, almost 55% of the votes so far have been cast by women. And the gap between Democrat and Republican, it's neck and neck.
100%. Like,
yeah.
And I wish people, because like we did this, I've actually shown people the map and I've pulled up the data. And I've showed them like the final report. And then when I was actually crunching the numbers and what this looks like, and it's really powerful because then when you start to see, okay, well, what specific seat can be impacted in North Carolina, it's House District 1, right? Same thing is true for their Senate. There's enough to flip there. In Nevada, you've got, it's a whole thing. But the point that I'm making, House District, it's House Districts 2 and 4 are Nevada. Like I could literally break this down for you and tell you every single one of these battleground states. And then just for fun, I did it for Tennessee because that's where I'm from. And then I did it for Kentucky as well, because when I did it, it was 2023. And that was when Bashir was up for re-election, right?
Right.
As a Dem. And so the point to make behind this is that it doesn't matter. I hear all the time when people say, I'm a blue dot in a red sea. You would be surprised how often you are not that. It's just that we are not vocal about the fact that we are there and who we support and why it matters. We did a yard sign campaign around issue 1 in Ohio last fall. We had a guy that put out say yes to issue 1 in his front yard, and his neighbor who's lived across the street for years came and knocked on the door and said, I had no idea. You and I agreed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because nobody talks about it.
Right.
So somebody said, because it isn't safe to be vocal. Let me say this. There's safety in numbers, people. So the more of you, the more of us that choose to be vocal, the more we increase our safety. We should not live in a country where it is only safe to be vocal about your politics and your policies if you belong to a particular party. Things that I recommend to people, if you're going to put out yard signs, if you're going to put out, flags or things like that in your yards and in your home, put them in the line of sight of your outdoor cameras, right? I want you all to understand your yard signs are considered political speech. Political speech is protected speech. All right. So if someone damages your yard signs, if someone steals your yard signs, if someone does something to your property because of your political speech, right, and you capture it on camera, understand that that is what's called civil rights intimidation, and it's a felony, right? I had somebody doing similar things to me, threatening me because of my political ideologies, right, from back home. Guess what? He won't be voting this year because he's a registered felon now, because he got slapped with civil rights intimidation and harassment, right? So, so just so people understand that your vote matters, your voice is incredibly powerful, and the more of you that are out, it gives people permission to be out themselves, folks, right? The more people, I was up in, when I did this travel, Steve, I was gone for eight days. So I got a van, I loaded up 1,200 yard signs. and 900 buttons, and drove up through North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, rural Ohio, rural Pennsylvania, and back, right? And so went up to a flea market in Hartsville, Ohio. Great flea market, biggest mums I've ever seen in my life. But if you judge people by the way they look, you would think, oh my gosh, these are all Trumpers, because a lot of people think that that's what Trumpers look like, right?
Sure.
Not the case though. You would be surprised how many people that we had come up to us and go, oh my gosh, I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad that we see somebody. And then there would be other people who would they didn't want to come over because of course their neighbors are around. So they would just go by and they'd go, we're with you. That's the right candidate. Or they'd give us a little thumbs up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to your point, yeah, we can see that there are Republicans voting. What I also know is a lot of them are what Trump would call rhinos. And
Yeah,
the
of course.
rhinos, the original Republicans, they actually are duty bound to the country. They're duty bound to the Constitution. We may not agree on social policy a lot, right? But what we do agree on is the fact that our democracy and our democratic republic is important. We want it to continue to exist and to work in the way that it does. So guys, don't get distracted by ballot boxes being set on fire. Don't get distracted by Republicans like taking Amish people to vote. Don't get distracted by the nonsense and the rhetoric. Take a deep breath, keep your feet planted, and continue to do the most important thing that you can do right now in this moment. And that is organizing within your circle of influence. So who are the people in your life that you can talk to that I can't? Who are the people that are around you that you have an influence over that I don't? We all have those people in our lives. No one said that Amish people shouldn't vote. Why in the world would you say such a thing? Come on now. I know that you can listen and comprehend. No one said that. What I said is don't get distracted by Republicans rounding up Amish people to go vote. That's what I said.
Exactly.
Let me be very, very clear. I want every person who is legally eligible to vote in this country to vote.
Me too.
And I will tell you why I do. Because when we have massive voter turnout, Democratic policies and candidates win easily by a nice margin. So let me tell you something. If you're a Republican and you want to ride to the polls and you're by me, I got you. If you're a Democrat, I got you. If you're an independent, I got you. I don't care who you are. I want every single person to vote, because when we vote, we win.
Correct.
That's just the truth of the matter. It doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with. So just so you guys know, the only people trying to keep people from voting are extreme Republicans and MAGA. Just so we're clear about that. Democrats want everybody to vote.
And on that point, so the badge I had up earlier. So if you see any sort of strange activity, questions about your ballot, questions about election laws in your state, you can go to eac.gov, which is the United States Election Assistance Commission. Toll-free telephone number. It is 866-747-1471. That's 866-747-1471. That's toll-free. That link will be in the link tree. In our Discord. Again, that's the United States Elections Assistance Commission.
So check this out. You can also do this, Steve.
Sorry, go ahead. Sure.
Sorry. So on the voter protection thing, depending upon what state you're in, so 888 and 866, both of those numbers. If you do 888 our vote or 866 our vote, that is the voter protection hotline. And they have people that are boots on the ground in your states, in your counties, who will come. I will tell you, in 2022, I went to vote, and they didn't open our doors on time for our early voting and said there was an issue. I immediately called the number. Listen, 20 minutes later, somebody was at our early voting location.
See that?
Figuring out what was going on with our ballots and all the things. So didn't want to interrupt, but on the voter protection issue, I wanted people to know that that's something else. Just to remember, all you have to remember is 866 or 888 our vote, and you can call somebody.
If you all liked what Danny had to say, obviously more of her, and I'm honored that she's going to be joining us for our all-day coverage, Defending Democracy 2024. It'll start with yours truly at 8 o'clock, 8 till noon Eastern time. Then we'll go to Danny, and then we'll go to Dirty Dan, and then we'll wrap things up with Pickles. And the four of us are going to bounce back and forth between each other's lives all day. We're going to have bingo. We're going to have special guests. I take responsibility because a lot of you said to me that you look to us for your news and for information. And I'm honored by that, and I take that seriously. So we appreciate that. So we'll be here for you all day.
100% all day. And I appreciate you, Steve, rallying all of us together and getting the creators together. I'm excited about what we have going on. I'm really excited about the next 4 years. I find myself every day getting just a little more emotional because it feels like that that moment. Like for me, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, right? So for me, it's like that moment right before you give birth. And it's all the feelings that come together, right? It's the anticipation. It's the like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It's all the things. But I think we are going to give birth to an exceptional time in history. And we're going to give birth to the America that many of us have always wanted, known that we are capable of. And believe that we can create. So I appreciate you giving me some time this morning. I'll be on later on, probably around like 11 a.m. or so. And then I'll be joining you, of course, on Election Day. So I appreciate you, my friend. Keep doing the work.
You too, Danny. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, please follow Danny if you don't already. As a reminder, Danny will be part of our all-day continuing coverage on Election Day, Defending Democracy 2024. We'll start 8 a.m. till noon here. Then we'll pivot to Danny. Then we'll go to Dirty Dan. Then we'll go to Pickles and Eggs. We're going to be bouncing back and forth all day. We want you guys to participate in that. Like I said, there'll be bingo. There'll be special guests. We're going to be checking in with friends across the country through numerous locations. But again, Dan. Okay. Let's bring up some guests. Box is open, friends. Anything you want to talk about that either Danny brought up, we can make some comparisons. I see a lot of the friends in MAGA typing away, but you guys don't seem like you want to talk. But that's okay. Good morning, Suze. How are you today? Suze?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. Sorry about that.
No worries. I got you. Thank you for being here. All right. Travis, how are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, with your last guest you just had on, you guys said you don't want to suppress any voters. My question is, why did the DNC file hundreds of frivolous lawsuits to suppress the votes of RFK Jr. voters?
Did they do that?
Yeah, they sure did. That's why he got off the bat. That's why he quit running. Which actually, you Einsteins was your worst move because all of his voters are just going to vote for Trump now. So,
did they? Is that what they did?
Yeah, they did.
Have you looked?
Yeah, they did.
Have you looked? Into
I
it?
have. Have you?
I have.
Have you?
Well, sir, Travis, you're the one that made the claim, friend. So, can you provide evidence of your claim, please?
Oh yeah, I can do that right up on this fucking. Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking retarded.
Okay.
Bye.
You can go by now, you piece of shit. Get the hell out of here. Friends, don't believe that nonsense. That's more of the right-wing trash rhetoric. There are protocols to be entered onto a particular ballot, and every single candidate who wants to go and be on the presidential ballot has to go through the same process. Happens all the time. So don't let the lies and don't let the misinformation. Did you hear the desperation in his voice? Wow, that's crazy. Real quick, somebody did this research and I just want to share it. The Constitution, the thing that Donald Trump and his minions want to terminate, 22nd Amendment, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of the presidency or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected shall be elected to the office of the president more than once. So meaning that if Kamala Harris were to be, if Joe Biden were to resign, again, just a hypothetical, if he were to resign, she could still run for 2 terms. Kind of what I thought. But thank you for that note, guys. I appreciate you. That's why my team is amazing. They don't let me float in the wind, so to speak. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. 1,500 people in here. Let's see if we can get to 200K. And please keep the shares up. Hold my face down, share. You know the drill. Don't want to send Nikki after you. Makiva, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say this is my first time tuning in with you, and I love what you're doing. I say keep up the good work. It's very important to make sure that people understand that this MAGA movement is spreading nothing but racial hatred and division. And for the life of me, I can't understand why are these people so angry and how they can be brainwashed with this stuff that the MAGA is putting out there. It's really puzzling. It's mind boggling. I don't get it. Are we that blinded by the things that this person is literally putting out there? I mean, I just don't get it. But what I do say is that please keep doing what you're doing, because it's so important, especially for the next generation and stuff like that. We need democracy. I don't understand why they don't get it, why some people just don't get it. And the MAGA movement is a very dangerous movement. It just really is. And I try to, I'm on my way to work right now, and I try to make sure that, it's only so much that I could talk about when I'm at work, but I am very vocal about my position as far as in politics and where I stand. And I'm a union worker also. So just the protections of the things that we need and what this MAGA movement is trying to take away from us to take us back, I just don't get it. So I just felt that I needed to come on and I needed to tell you that I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, and please keep doing it. And what is your actual, because I'm driving so I really can't see, what is your actual name so I can actually subscribe to you?
It's Facts Still Matter. You can search for it that way. You'll find me. Just look for the orange angry face.
Okay, Facts still matters.
No S at the end. Just Facts Still Matter.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, friend. You have a great day. I appreciate your support.
You as well. Bye-bye.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the fact that, the chat's been chirping about Joe Biden calling Trump supporters garbage. I don't disagree. I don't think the president should have said it, quite frankly, but I don't disagree. Let's be real. You're cheering outside of Madison Square Garden with one of the most revolting and despicable racist-fueled, fascist-fueled, anti-immigrant, anti-woman, anti-everything campaign, and you get up in your feelings because you're called garbage. You've been calling American citizens every name in the book for years. Your hatred towards women, your hatred towards the LGBTQA community, towards your rhetoric regarding veterans, your support for a man who brags about grabbing women by the pussy, your support for a man who has said that he has sex in common with his daughter, and you're concerned that the president called you garbage. Tough shit. Don't fucking care. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Appreciate y'all very much. Rain Bowery, how are you?
Hello. Thank you. I had a couple of questions about the secret
plan. You're muted, friend.
That interruption.
Okay.
I've heard several, innuendos or whatever, and I just wanted your take on it. One of them that I heard was that he's going to refuse to do the vote. And then another thing I heard about, and this one I'm a little more curious about, is there a law somewhere that if he refuses to acknowledge the electoral votes, is there something that would, if Mike Johnson refuses to abide by the popular vote or the electoral, can they do something where they send it back to the state, and regardless of how many electorals that state has, each state would get one vote only on who should be president? Is that a real thing? Is that a possibility?
So what you're talking, there's a couple of different things here, and I talked about this earlier. So you're referring to what's referred to as a contingent election. So if in our system of government requires a candidate to get 270 electoral votes, if you don't get 270, so you could end in a statistical tie. there is math that each candidate could get 269 electoral votes, right? So if that were to happen, it does go to the House in our system of government, and each state gets one vote, and it's based on the amount of representatives they have to Congress. So it's not whether who holds the majority in the House. It has to do with simple math. So, for example, if Texas has 40 electoral votes and they have 21 Republicans and 19 Democrats, then the Republican representative would get that vote. So that's kind of how it works. So there's always
what date would that occur on?
I'll get to that in a second. So there's two separate things in play here. The new House would be sworn in on January 3rd. The election itself is certified on January 6th. So based on what we're seeing from polling and from voter engagement and from the amount of votes that have come in so far, and because the Republicans don't have money to defend a lot of their held seats, it's very likely that Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats will be the majority party in the House come January 6th. So Mike Johnson won't have any say politically. Okay, so that's one side of it. The other side is, I mentioned this earlier, there's always a possibility that if they start to see a lot of this nefarious activity, Joe Biden could resign, which would mean Kamala Harris would be the president. So therefore, it's a heck of a lot more difficult to remove somebody from office. The only way you can do that is through impeachment. So then that's something that they would have to do. So then there would be, I don't want people to worry. What I'm trying to say is I don't want people to worry about it. I think it's a lot of fluff. But there is a system there. There are no laws specifically other than the Electoral Count Act, which does require 270 electoral votes. And then here's the weird part about it: Kamala Harris will be certifying her own victory, which I think is just brutal, just ultimate irony, right? So don't worry about it. What I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. And thank you for the work you do. I very much enjoy sitting in and listening to your lives while I'm working because you're calm and you do great work. And thank you. And thank you for letting me up, and you can boot me off.
You got it. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Yes, everybody, does that make sense, everybody? So again, everything that we see, and this is the problem, right? This is the problem. And this is why I want politics to be boring again. When we see Trump make these, innuendos to Mike Johnson and, oh yeah, we've got this secret plan. Well, they may think they have a secret plan, but there are systems in place. There are people that are watching this kind of stuff. Don't forget that the test that MAGA did and the Trump traders did in 2020, that was a test for them, but it was also a test for our system. So let's not be fooled that, there's people that are not watching, the fox in the hen house, so to speak. So there are people out there that are doing the work, that are going to make sure that we don't fall down to that friggin' rabbit hole again. I'll bring up Olive. Olive will ride shotgun with us today. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm waiting to get my flu shot. So if you have not gotten your flu shot, go get it, especially if you live around kids.
Did the double up. Yeah, I got you. Good for you for doing that. Did you watch any of the closing statements, the closing argument from Madam President last night?
I got a little bit of it last night. I was stuck with a school last night. I actually found out I applied for an early graduate program, so hopefully by next month I'll see if I can graduate early, a little bit earlier than what they think I can. So I caught the last bit of it. Other than that, it was good. Also, people are curious. This is me. This is my backup account. TikTok sucks. Just wanted to say that. They're really gripping right now, and I had some really mean comments towards me. Trouble. So.
Of course. That's how that tends to work, sadly. All right.
Towards me.
More people who've requested. Again, the box is open. I'm happy to have conversation with anybody today. The question I'm going to ask MAGA, I want you to be prepared to tell me what's the closing message from the Trump campaign, other than what we've seen. That's where I'm curious. I'd like to see what the message is, if we can talk about it. Keep tapping, everyone. Let's go. Monkey, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I have a question. I called the board office yesterday. I live in Ohio. I was watching commercials, and they showed this one lady that she keeps going Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. Once they get into Senate, And if they go from Republican to Democrat, does the seat go with them or just that person's voting rights?
I don't think I understand your question. So, someone who
Say
wins,
Jim Jordan is Republican
correct,
in Ohio. If he
correct.
decides one day he wants to be a Democrat and he's still in the Senate, does his senator seat turn Democrat or does it stay Republican and he?
No. So first of all, he's in the House. He's a representative in the House.
Okay.
So he would have to, so that the margins would shift. So for example, if he's a Republican now, if he decided he wanted to denounce his party, which I don't think he'll ever do,
No.
I'll give you a real-time example from the Republic of Vermont. Jim Jeffords used to be a representative to Congress, used to be our representative. He decided that he was done with the Republican Party and then became an independent, which kind of threw things all over the place a little bit. So that's an example. So your party affiliation leaves when you're connected to it. Let me say that better. If there's 100 people in the House, right?
Yeah.
50 of each party, and one person decides they want to change party, then that number goes 51 to 49. Now you might decide, like Bernie Sanders is an independent, Angus King is an independent in the Senate, but they caucus with the Democrats. So that's kind of what you have to look for. Does that make sense?
Yes, I didn't know if they were all going in as one thing and then switching to, switch sides to make it uneven. I called my board of election yesterday and they couldn't explain it to them.
We have the power, exactly. Greg just said the power shifts, so the control shifts. So it depends on the way that committee assignments work, and the way that here's good civics lessons for everybody. So when you hold the majority in either chamber, you set the agenda. So currently, Mike Johnson in the House, Chuck Schumer in the Senate. The Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader are the ones responsible for setting the agenda. They're the ones that will call the votes to the floor. So if there's a power sharing agreement, then you can have both parties sort of be responsible. But in our system of government now, with everybody being so divided, that you'll never see that. So if that party shifts, then Hakeem Jeffries then becomes the Speaker of the House, and he's the one that sets the agenda. So one of the reasons that nothing has gotten done in the 118th Congress is because, first of all, they have a feckless leader in Mike Johnson, who's been, well, although he stood up in the Freedom Caucus more than I thought he would, he needs his voters, he needs his constituents and his caucus to vote for things that he wants. And because the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world and the Lauren Boeberts of the world are so extreme, the other members of the Republican Party in the House can't stand them. That's why they can't get anything done.
Okay, well, I was watching a commercial and they said, oh, don't vote for her because she was this, then she switched to this, then she switched to that. And I thought, oh, great, now we got, this going on too.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, Omar. He did come through in Ukraine. Yeah, but again, just what you want to do is you want to go to the individual candidate's website and find out what they stand for instead of worrying about the political affiliation. Because you might be surprised. There could be some moderate Democrats out there or moderate Republicans out there that might align with what you want.
Well, I called the Board of Election where I live, and she said, I don't know. And I thought, shouldn't you know? Shouldn't you know for me?
They should know. You can go to in our Discord, the Election Assistance Organization. It's eac.org. They provide election assistance, and you can answer questions about down ballot races. It's really a great website. It's called EAC. United States Election Assistance Commission. It's eac.org. I'm sorry, eac.gov. It's broken down by state. There's lots of information in there, also by party affiliation and candidate too. So that's a good resource.
Well, thank you for answering my question. Can you drop me?
I sure can, Monkey. Thank you very much for being here. There's so much information out there that we have to be mindful of navigating through it. And that's the hard part.
That was the biggest thing I was going to say is look further than just commercials or anything like that. Actually go to the source and look it up.
Correct. Obs, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Fax. How are you? I'm good.
Fine, thanks. What's going on?
I'm just struggling. I have the same kind of feeling as you that Kamala's a lock. I feel really good about the election. I feel like we're going to put out numbers that they haven't seen before this election. But I come from a family and a very rural town in swing state, Michigan. And I'm seeing the division in my community. I'm seeing the division in my own family. My parents are LMNOPQ MAGA supporters. is the best way I'll put that. Emphasis on Q. And I am getting that tired rhetoric of I'm brainwashed, she's a liar, all of these things leading up. And for personal context of history, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I served under Obama, Trump, and Biden. So I've seen what commander-in-chief policies look like directly under all three of those gentlemen. I feel very confident in my choice voting for Kamala. But I guess my thing is it too late to save my hateful relatives from themselves? How do I navigate this window and try to bring this political scape? Like, I see you on here every day, all the time on your lives, reaching out, dealing with this same tired rhetoric I've dealt with for the last 8 years. And I guess I just want to say kudos to you for that. And also just encourage people that, you know, it is not what they want you to believe. This is all hate-based. This is all fear-based.
Yep.
As a woman who served in a very predominantly male industry in the Marine Corps and having had Trump as my commander-in-chief, having lived through that, having deployed to Iraq and Syria under Obama, having done all of those things, I honestly think that we just keep pushing, we keep fighting, but I'm just looking for that, is it too late? And how do we go forward as a country when this is over? Ignore my corgi losing her mind in the background, please.
That's okay. I've got a dog who's recovering from the snip yesterday, so he's chilled. I get it. So it's a really good question, Obs. You know, it may be too late for this election cycle, but for me, the way I've shifted this whole conversation is, especially when it comes to men. So I'll give you a scenario. I had this happen last week, and they wouldn't answer the question when you're put in that position. So it's like #girldad, right? So would you do anything for your daughter? Yes, I would. Would you give her your last drop of blood? Yes, I would. Would you give her your lung? Yes, I would. Would you throw yourself in front of the proverbial truck for them? Yes, I would. Okay, then how about voting for them? So, and it seems so simple, right? When you break it down that way, it seems so simple. You know, you can have your opinions on whatever it might be, whether it be abortion, whether it be, you know, LGBTQIA issues, whatever that might be. You can have your opinion on any of it, but do you want the government telling you or anybody else what to do? In this case, Obs, if someone is at this point, if they're trying to be objective and looking at the candidates, there is no reason not to vote for Kamala. There's none. There is no reason. You can't make the economic argument, the immigration argument. You can't make the competency argument. You can't make any argument to vote against her other than it's her.
That's 100% how I feel. Like, and my biggest issue, and I think I've realized this a lot in this election, is like my mother, she's a very hardcore MAGA Republican. She started in the conspiracies way back in the day, kind of turned my father onto it. And I feel like I've noticed a lot of that internalized misogyny, that need to punish women with the abortion rights, with everything else is driving it for her.
Yep.
And I find the hypocrisy of it's my body, it's my choice when we were dealing with the COVID vaccine mandates. But
Exactly.
when we talk about that body choice autonomy in regards to women's reproductive rights, it just goes right over the head because of that need to be right, that need to hold on to these beliefs, this hate, everything else. And I find it so stunning that we're even having these debates, that we're not all just 100% blue wave, like, get this guy out of here.
Well, you just answered it. It's because of sexism and misogyny and racism and, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
That's what their platform is built on. Just look at what happened over the weekend in MSG. Again, the closing argument for Kamala Harris is to stand there in front of the White House on the ellipse, reminding people that an insurrection took place there just 4 years ago, talking about the future, talking about how we can be better as a society, how we can protect the rights of others, how the middle class can be supported. And Donald Trump and his minions are talking about fascist rhetoric.
Exactly.
That's the argument.
The other thing too that I've learned, Obs, is especially like I don't agree with my biological dad and stepmom politically at all. There's some people you can't save. You can't do it whatsoever, and it's not worth risking what you stand for to try to argue with someone like that. There's some people on here that you just can't have a conversation with about or even try to change their minds, especially 6 days this close to the election. At this point, I'm like, look, I'm done. I'm ready for the next steps. Let's talk about what happens afterwards. Let's talk about keeping her accountable. Let's talk about policies. Let's talk about midterm elections. Everything in between. At this point, I'm just like, I'm done. And also, Alex, I appreciate your service. As someone who grew up military, I always think it's cool to meet a female service member. So
same here. So I guess what I would say, Obs, in closing this part of the conversation, I would just remind them, say, what are you going to do if Kamala Harris wins? Like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to walk around? Are you just going to live in hate? And are you going to just, or are you going to say, okay, America has spoken. Maybe I need to look at different candidates. I mean, let's be real. Let's go back in time for just a second. If Donald Trump had handled COVID properly, he would have been reelected in a landslide. He would have easily won that election. If he didn't do the Charlottesville both sides thing, he would have been reelected. If he had accepted the results of the 2020 election that he lost, then January 6th never would have happened. If he didn't commit the crimes, obstruct justice, falsify business records, do all these kinds of things, he would have been indicted. But there needs to be that reckoning from MAGA that they have not yet come to. So I would ask your dad, or this goes to anybody, your father, your mother, your sister, your friend, whoever it might be, what are you going to do when Kamala Harris wins? What are you going to do? So society's going to progress. Are you going to be part of it, or are you going to continue to be angry and yell and foment violence and find your little parlor chat rooms and go all conspiracy theory? That's what people have to ask themselves at this point, I think.
What I think drives a lot of it, at least what I've seen in my personal experience with my parents and people in this community that are still hardcore attached, is they've really bought that love from their own class of poverty and the struggles that they have.
Yeah.
And they're like, my father personally, he's very fearful of a Kamala win. Like, he seems to think that the world will end on November 6th when she becomes president. And I've been trying to pull him out of that fear state so hard. And I guess at this point, I agree with a lot of the commenters that I have to let it go and let them vote and do what they're going to do and just focus on, like you said, what comes next? How do we move forward as a country? And like I said, I really appreciate all of you that are out there that are spreading this information and getting it out there. It is really easy to fall down that fear tunnel in today's world with everybody spewing that nonsense constantly. But I just wanted to be a voice to be out there and be like, this is not real. This is not life. Like, let's reflect. Let's go forward as people. Like, take the Democrat, Republican out of it. Let's go forward as Americans. What do we want to look like? And I know that the Madison Square Garden rally is not what I want the future of America to look like.
Agreed. Thank you for saying that, Obs. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Why was Dr. Phil there? Can someone answer that question for me? Why was Dr. Phil there?
Why was who?
Dr. Phil. Why was he there?
Because he's a fascist too.
Oh,
Here's the funny
okay.
thing about this. Think about Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. Both became prominent, rich, recognizable because of who? Oprah.
Yeah.
Oprah. A black woman gave them their lives. And this is how they thank her? Nice, huh?
It was one of the things that I scrolled by and I'm just like, me and my mom used to sit and watch Dr. Phil all the time. And I'm like, I'm good. We're good.
The funny thing about this is I don't know who the comment was. I'm sorry. I'm going to give you credit for it. If you said this, then you'll know. But they live in fear, not because of Kamala Harris, not because of Joe Biden, not because of Democrats, not because of woke ideology. They live in fear because of Donald Trump. That's why they live in fear, because he's been telling them every single day for years that it's this person you have to be afraid of, this person you have to be afraid of, the brown-skinned people, the gays, the illegals. Now it's Puerto Ricans. As a reminder, Pennsylvania, 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. 500K. Keep that in mind. The fear that you live in, MAGA, was caused by your guy. That's the reality. Zaddy, how are you?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
Good. I was at the rally last night.
In D.C.?
Yeah.
And?
It was phenomenal. It was really great. What I liked about it is, or what I noticed is nobody talked about him. He didn't have any space at the rally. Like we were talking about the positivity and the future with her. We weren't talking about him.
Right.
And just the comparison as opposed to Madison Square Garden a couple nights before, right? The speakers were Brian Sicknick's brother, the farmer and his wife who did the ad for Kamala, a woman who suffered, from the AB laws in Texas and some stuff. So it was just really great. The city was buzzing.
Yeah.
It was packed. I mean, we stood in line for like 2 hours to even get into the ellipse. And yeah, it was just a really, I'm feeling really positive. He's going to lose by 50 million votes. And a week from now, we're never going to have to say this guy's name again. And
I don't know if we'll have the results. I don't know if we'll have the results by then, but I think I hear what you're saying, bro. I get it.
I think we are. I think we will, because I think he's going to lose Georgia or Florida or North Carolina or Pennsylvania. And if he loses any of those, it's over.
Well, no, not necessarily, because Kamala Harris doesn't need North Carolina or Georgia or Arizona to win the election. It really comes down to Pennsylvania.
Right, but if he starts losing states that he needs to win in order to win, then it's over. Right,
that's a good point.
So,
and I want to touch on something you just said too. It's not a coincidence. It's not just for logistical planning purposes that rally last night was on the ellipse. It's a reminder to people that Donald Trump and his traitorous insurrectionist mob attempted to subvert democracy, and it started right there. So it's
we took back the ellipse last night.
Agreed.
We took it back. And it was just, it was super powerful. It was, I made my wife go, and I was saying to somebody last night that, like, I'm 47. I had never donated to a political campaign before. I voted. My dad was a history teacher, right? So, like, very politically active and aware and voting and all that stuff, but never felt the gumption or the drive to donate to somebody. I've never been to a political rally. And last night I went to a political rally and I've donated to her campaign when she first got in. So, like, if she's getting 47-year-old crusty white dudes off the couch to come to, to donate and to come out to rallies, then this is happening. Like, this is, you know what I mean?
White dudes for Harris, right, Zaddy?
Yeah, I had my white dudes for Harris hat on. As a matter of here, let me show you.
I never got mine, which I'm still bummed about. But
oh yeah, they were on such back order. Like, mine took a really long time to get to. Here,
I'll
let me just show
it on
you.
November 6th, which is fine. I'll wear it proudly.
Yeah. So there was me. Oh wait, hang on. Yeah. So there was us at the.
Hold on, I'll give you
just a selfie.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, man. That's it.
So it's really cool. I think, to have been part of history. That's what I'm really excited to have been part of. And to be able to say, when my grandkids come along, who did you vote for back then? And I'm going to show them the pictures and be like, we were at the Kamala Harris rally. Like, you know what I mean? And we're going to be on the right side of history on this thing.
Correct.
And so I just wanted to tell everybody that who wasn't there, who watched it on TV, it was as great as you thought. I watched a little bit of it on TV. I made the analogy to my wife last night. She's like an amazing musician. She knows how to hit the notes right at the perfect time.
Yep.
So everybody get out there. I've already voted, but everybody get out there and vote. Don't get complacent. This takes action on our parts. Freedom isn't free. You got to make a sacrifice and go do it. And, but we'll all be better off in the long run. And women, please save us. That's my request. Women, please save us.
As always. Thanks, Zaddy. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. All right. Nice chatting with you. All right.
Gotcha. He's right. Hold on a second. My phone's about to die. There we go. Okay. He's right. I mean, and we ask this all the time, and I want to make this call out to other white dudes, right? Every single time women, and in particular black women, save us from ourselves. Isn't it finally time that you start to put your privilege to good use for once, right? Again, not to be a broken record, it's guys that look like me that created the whole system so that system would work in our favor and no one else's. Isn't it time we start to use our privilege for good, right? So Olive's got her, she probably had her appointment. So let's get
waiting for my shots. It should be about 5 minutes. I'll be here.
No worries. Jay Stillwell, how are you today?
Fantastic. How are you all?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So I just want to pose a question that I've posed before, and I want to pose it to you strictly because I very much respect your candor, your intelligence, your ability to hold a conversation and look at things critically, like I do similarly.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
So I don't want to sound over dramatic. I'm simply just using an analogy. But if we're looking at MAGA as this MAGA movement, if we're looking at it as a snake, do you think that defeating Donald Trump in the election is cutting off the head or the rattle? The scary loud part, and we're still in danger of being bit by the venomous part? Or do you think that we can actually start seeing a change in the Republican Party going forward?
I think it's a really good question. I think it's the rattle. Because I think that I'd be curious what the chat thinks too. I think it's the rattle because Donald Trump is stupid. Let's be real. He is, because of his narcissism and because of his malignant narcissism and his ego. Anybody who will stroke his ego, he'll just bend the knee for, literally. Whether it be an autocratic dictator like Putin or Xi Jinping or Viktor Orban or the Rocket Man, or just people in the media who'll stroke his ego, whatever that might be. I think the Republican Party, the Christian nationalist wing of MAGA in particular, wants him gone as well. I think, which is why you start to see them not even letting him get on message. Like, the fact that his campaign would support an event like they had just tells you everything, right? They want him to be done. So they would hope that they could win the election, which I think they know they're not going to win. And as soon as he is out of the picture, they will reorganize, but they will reorganize around somebody like J.D. Vance, who's a smart guy, who's much more eloquent, who's much more extreme than Trump. What they have not yet figured out, though, is how do they attract more voters? That's what they've not figured out. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's because it's not going. I guess, long story short, MAGA and Trumpism is not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that it's just going to magically disappear and then we're going to go all sing Kumbaya after the fact.
Right.
But the thing that I don't want to sound like I'm fear mongering or over exaggerating or being anxious or whatever, but the thing that I worry about going forward is that they figured out how to cater to the uneducated the uneducated white male voter, where, like, I'm driving down my local community right now, and the Trump sign says Kamala crime, Trump or like Kamala high crime, Trump low, or Kamala, sorry, low crime. And it's just simple words like that just seem to just strike people. So the thing that I worry about is that Trump was the Trojan horse. They figured out how to cater to those people, and now they can try to, continue to manipulate and lie and that type of thing, but do it in a more calm manner that doesn't offend the independent voter.
Well, I don't think. Let me think about this for a second. There's never been a desire from the right to try to expand the electoral map by drawing in more voters, with the exception of some dog whistling. Like, if you think about what Trump did after his mugshot, right, where he tried to make a comparison to black men. So I've been subjected to the system as well, so therefore you guys should relate to me. That was about the only reach out. The fact that their anti-woman rhetoric just continues and it gets worse and worse. Now you can add Puerto Ricans. Now you can add Haitians to the list. So there's no reach out. So all they're trying to do is just fortify their base. And their base is people that look like you and me, Stillwell. That's who their base is. And if they start to lose them, and we're starting to see cracks because people are just done, then they've got nowhere to turn. So they have to reinvent themselves. But they're still Christian nationalists. They still don't think women should have a right to their body. They still don't think that there should be certain books allowed in schools. They still don't think that the LGBTQIA community should have rights in our country, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as long as that is there, then that's why the work starts on November 6th, because we have to make sure that we're active in midterm elections. I don't want a uniparty. I think that's bad, but I would love to have a party that at least has some opposition that's based in reality and not hate. It's based in policy ideas and not just this subjugation of every marginalized group there is. That's got to happen.
I could not agree more. And going back to the, other people's rights, this is why I really like Tim Walz, because I mind my business and people's business are their business. So it's not my place to judge what somebody else does. Exactly. I carry myself, and everybody has the right to do what they want to do as long as they're following laws and things along those lines. So
Live their lives, right?
I mean,
Sounds so simple.
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So you pursue
Agreed.
happiness in every legal way that you possibly can. So
Agreed, and even some that maybe somebody doesn't know about, but we'll keep that as long as it doesn't harm anybody else, right? Whatever you do, as long as there's consent involved, who cares, right?
Correct.
Thanks.
So
Will.
anyway,
I appreciate you, bro.
have a great day.
You
Always
too.
love talking with you.
Thanks, bud. See you later. The reason that we all on the left and people who are not even on the left but are on the more moderate side, the reason that we are like, why is it so hard to prioritize human rights? I mean, again, it's the simplest thing. The party, even the libertarians, right? I mean, they're always like, stay the hell out of my business. So you even start to see libertarians now not leaning in on Trump because like that is the biggest. Trump and his minions in the Republican Party are the perfect example of big government. That's what they are. Who you can pray to, who you can love, what you can do with your body, what you can do as a worker. I mean, all this shit. They check every fucking box there is. They just want massive government overreach in everything. And again, they try to accuse the left of that, and it's not the left. It's never been the left. Human rights, exactly. Human rights above everything else. Otherwise, just get the hell out of here. It's just crazy. I'm so done with the projection game. It's just pitiful. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Please gift our panelists. Please consider subscribing. If you like the merch, including I Am Fucking Zen, check it out in the merch store. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Good. I just wanted to take 30 seconds of your time. I watch you every morning and you're amazing. And I love all your guests that you bring on. But I wanted to mention real quick, I am from Nebraska, part of the blue dot here. And I just wanted to remind Nebraska voters that Dan Osborne for our Senate seat is really making a huge headway against Deb Fischer. And now the Republicans are coming out and putting Republican support ads for Dan Osborne, trying to get Democrats to not vote for him. He's an independent. But so that's their new strategy. So I just wanted to, it actually came from his from Dan Osborne. Somebody had sent a message in this group that I'm in, and they basically said, hey, are these new ads true? And the response from him was, thanks for asking. Dan is trying to build a wide coalition of people of all political backgrounds. He does not endorse Trump. He is pro-choice. He believes in a strong but empathetic border policy, and he's firmly worker first. And that's straight from his campaign. So I just wanted to remind Nebraska people, do not get lost in the rhetoric that these Republicans are throwing out there now as like a last-ditch effort to save Deb Fischer's seat.
Gotcha. I mean, you can look at, I just pulled up Nebraska's early voting. So 240,000 so far as of this morning, 20% of the total from 2020. And the margins have been pretty consistent. So it's 52% women compared to 42% men. The party affiliation, it's neck and neck. Again, it's only 25,000 votes that separate, actually 17,000 votes that separate Republican and Democrat votes so far cast. So, and there wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, wasn't it one Republican who stood up and said, no, we're not going to change the way the electoral votes
Mike McDonald.
Yeah, there you go. So that's that's an indicator that people are just like, no, this is democracy here. We can't be changing the rules so that we can manipulate the rules so we can win.
Right.
Let the people decide.
Exactly. Right? And that's what, at least the eastern half of Nebraska wants to do. I know that I did hear a couple western Nebraska people on your live yesterday. That was really encouraging. Yeah. But I just wanted to let people know that is what I read there, that, trying to build a wide coalition. He is an independent. He does, we're not going to get a straight blue person here. It's just not going to happen. But we do need to get Deb Fischer out, and he is really making some headway. So I just wanted to come on, if you don't mind, and just say, hey, don't get lost in the rhetoric with the new ads that they're putting out trying to align him as a Republican. So
got it. They're scared, Kim, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're scared.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's making quite the headway on her. So hopefully we get him, and that helps our Senate seats. So
Agreed. That's why people, I'm glad you said that, because people have been focusing on a lot of the Senate seats we know about. Like, I think John Tester's probably a little bit of trouble in Montana, although he always rallies at the end. Sherrod Brown, I think in Ohio, he's very popular across the aisle. I think he might hold on to that seat. There's questions about some other seats across the country. West Virginia, because that was Joe Manchin, likely going to lose that seat to a Republican. So there's a few out there. But then we start talking about this Senate race in Nebraska, and we start talking about Debbie Murkessel-Powell in Florida, and Colin Allred, in Texas, and Ruben Gallego is just absolutely hammering Kerry Lake. So there's a real opportunity to get more than a 1 or 2 seat majority.
Absolutely.
Now, if you'd asked me 3 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough to hold the Senate. I'm not so sure now. I'm not so sure.
yeah, we're trying.
But again, that's when I say that November 6th, if that were to happen, right? If it were to happen, if the Democrats get the House and the Senate and the White House, then it's on us as Democratic voters to say, okay, what are you going to do? We
Exactly.
put you in power. What are you going to do? And then hold them accountable. Don't accept incremental change. Don't accept these tiny bites of the apple. Demand the whole fucking pie.
Exactly. And I voted blue down the ballot. Early voting, went and did in line. It took me in my county, it took me 45 minutes from start to finish. So we're trying here, keep it up. And Osborne, Vargas, those are the, Harris, those are the ones we want. So
Love that. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate you very much.
have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. I'll drop you now. That is again, that's the argument, right? That is the argument. You elect them based on their message. You elect them based on their policies. We elect them based on the vision for America. It's on us. Because that's the difference between the left and the right, along with many, many other things. We will hold our elected officials accountable. They don't do the job, we'll vote their asses out. We're not in a cult. Morning, Obi.
Greetings and salutations. It is currently 50. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit here in Los Angeles County. There is a winter storm warning in effect because it has fallen below 70. Please stay indoors.
It was 19 here, 21 here this morning, FYI.
Holy shit.
Come on, that's nothing. That's like maybe I'll put socks on.
I know, but when you haven't lived in New England for over 20 years, it's a stark reminder of the vast difference.
Yeah, it doesn't get really
Right.
cold. I mean, in New England, we consider it cold when you walk outside and the snot in your nose freezes immediately. That's when it's cold.
Right. Hey, I sent you a text of a Bloomberg article once again proving that our economy is fucking booming.
Rankin?
And, oh, dude. Yeah. 2.8% report came out this morning, all backed by consumer confidence and consumer spending. So I just want to say a couple of things before I get to the nerdy shit. For those folks out there in the audience that are net new to politics, we get it. We understand that all of this is net new. Please stop falling down the conspiracy rabbit holes. Please stop talking about the conspiracy rabbit holes. You're not actually helping. It doesn't further a conversation. You have every right to do it. I'm just trying to help you in understanding that. This is what the right wants. They want you to come out here and talk about all this wackadoodle stuff because that's how you suppress votes. So,
correct. Well said.
After the election, talk about all the conspiracy shit that you want. But please wait until Madam Harris raises her hand and becomes the first female president in the United States history. Then go full bore, right? Now, every single economic indicator for the last 6 months has been incredibly net positive. The CPI report came out 3 days ago. Huge ups on the CPI, right? So consumers, as always, are driving the economy. What does this prove? This proves 3 important things for those playing at home. Trickle-down economics does not work. How do we know? The consumer has never been more engaged in the economy in the last 3.5 years than they were in the previous 4 years, right? Meaning people really aren't as worried as the GOP would make you believe because we have numbers to back that up.
Correct.
Right? 2, unemployment, record lows, right? And 3, most important, and I'm going to keep hammering on this, the Chips and Science Act. There's a Taiwanese company that we have a very close relationship with that built a plant in Arizona, and that was a huge deal getting that plant built in Arizona.
If you were with Erica and her live, it was the Chips and Salsa Act.
First of all, this is important. There's always room for chips and salsa at any table.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just thought that was really funny.
No. And this plant is outproducing its sister plant in Taiwan already by 4%. All of these things add up to Democrats look at the economy as a science problem, and they use these 2 things. One of them is called maths. It's plural because there's more than one type of math, and the other is called science. And for those MAGA who don't quite understand the importance of maths and science, this is how nerds like me make a living, right? The data is showing that our economy is fucking booming, and it's going to continue to boom for another 2 to 3 years unless Trump gets into office.
Correct.
And then he's going to dismantle everything. And now I'm walking down the street, so there's going to be some background noise. So I'll go ahead and shut up so you can mute me here in a second. But people really need to be aware that the GOP is desperate, right? They have run out of straws in the box to grasp for. And even worse, their narrative is not matching the math.
No, it's
right.
not. I am going to mute you just because of the background noise. When you get
yeah,
come on back. But I think again, this is the argument, right? So remember, right? When you don't have policy to run on, when you don't have a platform to run on that's other than hate and rhetoric and mass deportation and scapegoating and blaming and the enemy from within, blah 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 blah, you have to convince your base that the enemy from within is causing their pain, like we just discussed, right? The reason that MAGA and Trump voters in particular have so much fear is because of Trump. It's not because of the Democrats. There is no, hear me again, there is no legitimate reason for someone to not vote for Kamala Harris. There is none. There is
correct.
None. And I'm going to say that objectively, okay? And Obi knows this, and he would call me out. If you want to make a case for a better economic plan, hands down, Kamala Harris. If you want to make the case for a solution, a responsible and practical approach to immigration reform, it's Kamala Harris. If you want to look to a person who understands the needs of other countries in the world, our allies, it's Kamala Harris. Now, if you want to get up all in your fifis and say that you don't like this, calling out people on the left, if you don't like the U.S. approach to Israel, then I'm with you. I agree. A reminder that Donald Trump said we could use Gaza could be nice beachfront property. So enough.
Right.
There is no reason. There is absolutely no reason, if you are being objective, that you would not vote for her, unless MAGA, your racism, sexism, misogynoir is showing. Let's be real.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, this is super important. We've talked about this before. The consumer holds all the power in the U.S. economy. What the GOP is afraid of are U.S. consumers getting comfortable with a good economy and then understanding the math to a net positive tax policy that actually is going to lead to more consumer protections, more consumer power. That they cannot have.
Correct.
That destroys their narrative. So when Trump is speaking about the enemy from within, dear consumers who are not sheep, who do not follow Trump, he's talking about you. He wants to take all of your power. Every single right enshrined in the Constitution will be removed if he is elected. That is not a conspiracy theory. It is because he has said so. So again, use caution. Think, who am I voting for? If you're voting for yourself, I don't know what to say to you, because a vote should never be for yourself. unless you're the candidate running. Then go ahead and vote for yourself because that's cool, right?
Agreed.
We need to be voting for the future.
That's right. MD Helms in the chat. If you want to come up in the box, I can answer that question for you. It might just be easier because you said, can I tell you why to vote for Kamala Harris without talking about Trump? I've done that every single day.
Oh, 1,000 times.
I can do it again. If you want,
You know what?
If you want it, go ahead.
You could do that with a mouthful of chips and salsa.
Correct. So the question I would have for you, MD Helms, would it matter what I say to you? Would it matter? If you want an an economy that benefits the middle class and the working poor, cast your vote for Kamala Harris. If you want to again gain the respect of our allies around the world, then again vote for Kamala Harris. If you believe in small business entrepreneurship, then you vote for Kamala Harris because there's an opportunity for a $50,000 tax credit. Then you vote for Kamala Harris. If you believe that that housing has gotten so expensive and to give opportunities for people to get into the game in America, but through home ownership, then you'll vote for Kamala Harris because of up to a $25,000 tax credit. If you believe that more seniors should benefit from lower cost prescription drugs, then you vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, I could go on all day. The question for you, though, MD Helms, is would it matter at this point? Would it matter? Are you just going to believe the rhetoric and the lies, or would you really like to have an objective conversation? Because if those things matter at all to you, then the answer is clear. If you believe that women should have a right to their own body, then you vote for Kamala Harris. If you believe that members of our LGBTQIA community and friends should be protected under the law, then you vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, you can make the case all day long, every day. Your choice as to what kind of country you want. It's really simple.
Yeah. If you'd like to reverse the regulation that allows private corporations and hedge funds to buy up housing in the United States, therefore driving up the cost of rent, making housing unaffordable, then you will vote for Kamala Harris. If you want a society that is built on understanding, appreciation of differences, and peace and love, you will vote for Kamala Harris.
Correct.
If you want a world that is going to iterate, meaning continue to get better, the administration on the Democratic ticket wants to take what's here and make it better for everyone. That's why you vote for her.
Jimmy, you said you had a question. Good morning. Thanks for being here. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to see, do you guys think MAGA is trash, like Biden said?
Do I think people who vote for a person who is an adjudicated sexual predator who don't care, somebody who votes for a convicted felon who don't care, somebody who supports a rally that was in Madison Square Garden that echoed Yahtzee sentiments and don't care, that thrive on hate and rhetoric? Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
And can you share the hate rhetoric that happened at the supposedly rally at Madison Square Garden?
Did you watch any of it?
I watched the whole thing, actually.
And so you don't think anything like that was hate?
I thought the only thing that wasn't great was the comedian. I thought the comedian, like personally, I don't like that kind of humor.
Okay, do you understand the history behind? Are you a history buff at all, Jimmy?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so why would Donald Trump hold a rally at Madison Square Garden in a state where he's losing by 20 points?
I think he personally believes that he had a chance to win. Personally,
well, he doesn't. Okay, he's losing by 20 points, Jimmy. 20 points. Okay, he's not going to win there. So you said you're a history buff, right?
I know what you're going to bring. 1939.
Yeah. So can you be objective and not?
Yeah, I just think you guys are wrong because is Bill Clinton, part of that group then too? Because
is Bill Clinton running for president? Is Bill Clinton running for president?
No, but in the 90s though, he did the same thing at Madison Square Garden.
Is Bill Clinton running for president?
At the time he was.
Is he running for president now,
no.
Jimmy? Okay, so you're going to vote for Trump.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So you don't care about any of those things is my point.
Care about what? I'm sorry.
Don't care. You don't care. You're going to try to justify it no matter what. It doesn't matter. You don't care.
Care about what?
You have to ask yourself these questions. You have to ask yourself these questions.
I didn't see any hate except for the comedian.
No, but because you don't care. That's my point. You don't care about the hate. You don't care about the anti-Semitism. You don't care about the references to history. You don't care that people have doubled down on the garbage comment. You don't care about Donald Trump saying, "Go back to your shithole countries."
Okay, let me tell you
don't
this.
Hold
You
on,
had
I'm
a
not done.
black guy,
Hold on, I'm
a
not
Jew,
done. Hold on,
and
I'm
a
not done.
girl
Hold
all
on, I'm not
speak
done.
at the rally.
Yeah, I'm not done. I'm not done. You don't care about any of it. You just don't care. So you got to stop trying to excuse it and try to make these false equivalency comparisons. What you think it's an okay move for a former president of the United States to basically have his generals that worked in his cabinet call him a full-blown fascist?
Well, first
You
off,
don't
he
care.
fired them because they were horrible. And 2018.
No. They fired him because they weren't yes men, because they wouldn't do what Trump wanted them to do. Instead, they defended the Constitution. So do you support our military?
Absolutely.
You do. So then, but yet you just said a decorated 4-star Marine general who was a decorated 4-star Marine general. You called him shitty because Trump fired him.
I
So
mean,
which is it?
there's
Which
no
is it?
evidence of him saying those things, though. There's
Yes,
literally,
there
it's just word
is.
against word.
So you're going to believe the pathological liar who's lied to you about everything over the word of a decorated 4-star Marine general, just so we're clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Guess what, Jimmy? You're in a cult. Thank you for proving my point.
Yeah. Jimmy doesn't understand when you're willfully ignorant, you are culpable, which means you stand with racists and bigots. And boys and girls, what does that make you when you stand with something? It makes you
A
that
racist
thing
and a bigot.
because you're culpable.
It's bigger than that,
Yeah.
though. They don't care. You're going to try to excuse it away. You're going to try to.
Of course.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it as hateful. You didn't see it as hateful because you don't give a shit. You don't care about its roots in history.
Right,
You
and
don't care about the anti-Semitism. You don't care the fact that he's calling American citizens garbage. You don't give a fuck. You don't fucking care. And I'm sorry, Joe Biden. I would agree. He probably shouldn't have said it. I probably should not have said it. But it's the truth.
No, he should have said it. He should have said it, and we need to get behind him in saying it.
That's fair.
First of all, his presidency is over. He has given enough to this country in service too, right?
Agreed.
He lost
Ultimate
his son,
selfless act.
right? So here's the thing. Joe gets to actually be Joe and start calling people out for their bullshit, and we need to stand behind him and stop being fucking cowards. Stop.
That's a good point. Good point.
The GOP wouldn't do it. They fucking double down. Why are we not doubling down? They are garbage. Did you hear the people who came up and spoke?
Yep.
They were all full
One
of
guy said
hate.
I found out I got invited to a Yahtzee rally. I was all in. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I think the other thing too, going into this next part after the election, is as people who are more left leaning, because again, I'm not registered as a Democrat, is holding those who you vote for accountable, regardless of how you voted, whether it's local, federal, whatever it might be. Start holding them accountable instead of just letting things go under the rug. And then when bills are passed through and they're not voted on, or it keeps getting shut down, like, keep raising your voices, keep emailing and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, I think the Democratic Party is extremely lazy on multiple different things, including our congressmen and congresswomen. And I think that's just the next step we need to go to continue to move forward. Because if we want anything to go well within Kamala's presidency, and then hopefully into a re-election, is we need to keep pushing for policies that are progressive and actually benefit the American people. Because unfortunately, right now, I don't feel like the Democratic Party is actually pushing themselves further and pushing themselves as hard as they can, especially when it comes to certain things as simple as common sense firearm legislation, or even protecting my bodily autonomy, my bodily rights. It's absolutely ridiculous at this point, and I think we need to start being not like MAGA, but actually go out and use our voices a little bit more and more as we keep getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I think the difference, though, and I don't disagree. I wouldn't call it lazy. I would just call it status quo. But I think the difference between the left and the right is that there are progressives in Washington D.C., people like Max Frost and younger generations and Jared Goldman and people like that who truly believe what you're talking about. The government can work for people. We need to elect more of them. There needs to be more progressives in Congress. It's just simple. I hear what you're saying, Olive, but it's the status quo that I'm done with. I'm done with it. No more. I want to change. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Let's see if we can get to 400K. Hey, Wes, how are you today? Wes? Wes, are you there? Wes? I guess not. Yes, and Jasmine Crockett, obviously. And there's numerous opportunities for us to flip this. And again, this, to Olive's point, this is going to ruffle the feathers of status quo Democrats, which is exactly what I fucking want. That's the point. Let's get it done. You want to get rid of the Electoral College? Then there are people in that we could vote for to send to Washington that would support that would support it. And part of the pushback, not only from the right, but from the left as well, is because they control the machine. They control the narrative. You want to fix it? Then put people in power that have the courage to do it. You want universal background checks? You want red flag laws? You want to raise the age? Then you got to put people in power. They're going to stand up to the lobby and say, I don't give a shit if I lose my election. This is what's right for America. Boom. That's how you get shit done. No excuse as to why we do not have universal health care in our country. It's a friggin' joke. It's a total joke. Absolutely no reason. None. Courage. That's what's required. Get it done. Jen, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
You're back.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Jen. What's on your mind?
Well, I am a person with a very, very bad anxiety. So I wanted to come on and just talk to the people like me for a moment and remind everyone about the red mirage on election night. I did a quick video about it on my profile. Basically, if you look at the electoral map from 2020 and you look at population density in states, it explains why a lot of the red states will report findings first, just because there's less votes to count. Also to keep in mind too that larger counties with bigger cities are going to take longer to report their results as well, simply because of the amount of votes to count. So that's what I wanted to bring that up for anyone who may have some pretty bad anxiety like me about election night.
It's a good point. I think we have to remind ourselves that this election we can't compare it to 2020 for obvious reasons, just because the whole, with COVID and with restrictions and in person and the whole 9 yards, it'd be a little bit different. The Republicans have finally encouraged their voters to start voting earlier and to use mail-in ballots. So yes, the red mirage is real, but it may not be as stark this year, because if we look at Pennsylvania again as an example, there's already a 400,000 vote lead based Democrat compared to Republican for early ballots returned so far. So that's a big number that the in-person voters are going to have to overcome. What you said is fair, and absolutely, and anybody who's got anxiety for watching on election night, I get it, but I think this is different.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate you. We got you. This is a safe space. You can come back and we can all be anxious together.
Sounds great. I love the anxiety.
Thanks, Jen. Have a good day. 100% MAGA. You have a lot to say in the chat, but maybe not a lot to say in person, which is not a surprise. That's what you guys have left. That's what you guys have left. It's sad. It's really sad. Why don't you stand for your candidate? Why don't you, again, 6 days left. Don't you want to try to defend? I'd be curious. What does the Republican Party stand for? Tell me what. Let's debate it.
I think they're at this point, they're content with just how they are, and they're not going to change anything. And honestly, right now, Steve, I honestly don't think anyone who is still sitting on the fence right now, and if you're in the chat, stop sitting on the fence. Make your decision now. And if you're still sitting on the fence, don't vote.
Correct. Girly, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm a friendly and just had a quick thought I'd love to share.
Sure.
So I have a theory that on election night, Donald Trump's itinerary will have him at multiple campaign stops, which has him on his airplane multiple times. And my theory is that at some point, when it starts telling that he's losing bigly, that he will turn his plane towards Hungary and seek political asylum and spend his rest of his days as a political refugee in Hungary.
He can't.
And I think it's actually possible, like literally almost possible. So that's my thought.
He's a convicted felon. He can't.
Yeah, but Viktor Orban would bend those rules. Everyone bends the rules for Trumpity Dumpity.
I understand that, but he's literally not going to be able to leave. He's don't forget, you can't sneak away.
Even more exciting to watch the possibility of him trying to leave.
Oh, that'd be great.
Great anyways, right? But like,
that'd be great.
Yeah, that's my little, I think I'm a little more optimistic than most people about this election right now. And granted, that's not the message we need to send. Yeah,
no, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, there's been talk about this already, that there's already flight plans filed. Again, he can't. Everybody, I mean, every square inch of our country has been mapped. This is a guy who's got Secret Service protection. There are things that he's not going to be. He's a felon. He can't leave. I think he said to surrender his passport in a couple of examples, but who knows? It could be fun to watch. It could be like the OJ and the White Bronco thing all over again.
Exactly. It'll be fun, regardless. I'm in for it. Get the popcorn. Long night.
I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Have a good day.
Bye. That's funny. I guess it's, who the hell knows? Like I said before, wouldn't it be great to wake up one day and have something be precedented as opposed to unprecedented every freaking day? Holy shit. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Just as a reminder, we are doing a fundraiser for a member of our community who's been hit with some massive medical bills. In the special events section in our Discord, there's a list of silent auction items that you can bid on. All proceeds will go to this individual, and their pay apps are listed on that sheet as well. So once again, in the special events section of our Discord, you do need to join our Discord. Joining our Discord is free. That's where all the action happens, like literally where all the action happens. In the special events channel, you'll see the information in there. If you got a couple of bucks to spare, that would be awesome. While you're over in the link tree, if you'd like some of the merch, for example, this one, I am fucking zen. Actually, you have to, Obi, ask me a question. Say, Steve, you should be more zen. Go ahead and ask.
Bro, can you take a chill?
I am fucking zen, okay? Seriously.
I do believe of all the shirts, for me, that is the most appropriate. Just calling myself out.
I completely agree. Anyway, so if you like some of the items during the merch store, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel. You get a 10% off discount as a subscriber. Thank you all very much. We appreciate you all very, very much. All right, let's bring up some more folks. So the question then is to MAGA, what is the closing message for your party? I'd be curious. Even the Republicans, if you're still trying to figure it out, what's the closing message? Hi, Spirit. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I'm good. I just wanted to touch on something you guys were talking about. People that follow Trump. Like, my son is a big Trump supporter. And the other day, he came here, Friday, he came in. Of course, he was calling me names. I mean, we do it in a jokingly way, but it gets so frustrating. Like, I don't. But anyway, make a long story short, he watched one of Kamala's speeches, and he texted me. He said, word salad. And the same day, I watched a Trump speech. I watch all his campaign speeches, by the way. I torture myself. I watch every one of them because I want to know what he's saying. So I get a text, and he's like, she said word salad. So I'm watching the Trump campaign, and I'm like, what is wrong with my own child that he listens to this and he understands it? He supporting Trump's plans. And I'm like, my own kid, like, what is wrong with you? So I was just talking to my friend. I'm a boomer, by the way. I'll be 68 in January. So I'm voting for my grandchildren's future and my great-grandchildren because I am, of course, a Kamala supporter. But anyway, I was talking to my friend. We're both boomers, and we're both like a nervous excitement for Tuesday, if you know what I mean. Like,
sure,
we want it over. Like, we're like you guys. We're just so sick of it, like, every single day. Even when he was in office, he was holding these stupid little press conferences every day. Like, he needs that to feed on. So I was talking to my friend, and I'm like, maybe it's the fact that because I don't understand how a large group of people can listen to him and understand him. I just think they're not used to someone actually speaking to them, like in a crowd. Like uh, they're gone. I don't understand it. Explain it to me. Like, is this going to go away?
No, we talked about that before. So,
I've been
the thing to
catching your
keep,
toes.
yeah, the thing to keep in mind, Spirit, is this, right? Um, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but when you don't have anything to run on, you have no backup. So if your entire game, first of all, their entire campaign was built around going after Joe Biden's mental health and his cognitive ability and his ability to serve. That was their entire campaign. The last thing that they wanted was to have to try to pivot to going after a black woman. So initially, they didn't know what they wanted to do. Initially, they're like, I don't know how to do this. So they try to come up with all this nonsense, Willie Brown bullshit, lie here, lie there. Now they're full blown racist. Now there's a political action committee that supports Trump that's been calling her the C word in social channels. You know, again, reminders that she had to. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That she had to sleep her way to the top. That she's stupid. That she lied to take the bar exam, that she never passed it. So these are all the desperation moves.
It's
They
disgusting.
can't put a policy platform because they don't have one
They don't have
up
one.
against the most qualified person to ever run for the office, who's got extensive policy platforms that will help the middle class.
I
So
watched her closing speech last night.
it was great.
It was beautiful. It was
great.
beautiful. I mean, she included everybody. It was just, I don't know. He needs to go away.
That's our plan in 6 days, right, Spirit? I appreciate you jumping in this morning, friend.
What do you think? What do you think? Like, I've seen cults form before, and
Yeah.
I've seen them end. How do you think this is going to end? It's not going to end drinking Kool-Aid, that's for sure.
No,
Like,
well, he wouldn't anyways, just like Jim Jones wouldn't.
no.
I think what's going to have to happen is there's going to need to be a realization that it's going to have to start from within. So it's going to have to be some of the either the talking heads that they've been listening to, or someone else to say, okay, you guys have been lied to. We've been telling this forever. We're done. Maybe go back and try to figure things out. But sadly, so many of the MAGA cult will just continue to double down, will continue to say that the election was stolen. All the things that we've heard, the conspiracy theories will bubble up. There'll be more violence.
Is
Eventually,
it true? Is it true about what Steve Bannon said? I tried to catch his they said he did a press conference after he got out of prison yesterday.
He did.
And then he did a podcast. Is it true what he said, that he's going to tell Trump to claim victory at 11 o'clock no matter
Of
what?
course, that's what they did the last time. That's what Steve Bannon told him to do the last time. It's no different.
This is
No different. Well, it's okay. Just keep the faith, Spirit. Keep the faith.
I
You know,
will.
it's
I
6
will.
days
And I
until
watch
history.
you guys every day. I'm here
appreciate
for
you.
you.
I
I
appreciate you.
actually have another account. I'm sorry. I come in here a couple times under a different account.
It's
I'm not
okay.
stalking.
It's okay.
It's just
I
the way I
appreciate
had
you
to
for being
set
here,
it
friend.
up.
Thank you
But,
very much. You have a great day,
we're
okay?
on this together, guys.
We are. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Have a good day, Spirit.
All right.
See you later.
Thank you.
I'm not going to talk about Steve Bannon much, but I mean, we have audio from before, and see if I can find that. I'll play it really quick. This is just a reminder. Do I have that? Yeah, here you go. This is what Steve Bannon said leading up to 2020.
And what Trump's going to do is just declare victory, right? He's going to declare victory. But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner. The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm. You're going to have Antifa crazy, the media crazy, the courts are crazy, and Trump's going to be sitting there mocking, tweeting shit out. You lose. I'm the winner. I'm the king. And he'll be all over. He'll be going, where's Hunter? Is Hunter on a crack pipe? I mean, no, he'll be, because then it doesn't matter. Remember, here's the thing. After that, Trump never has to go to a voter again. He's going to fire Ray, the FBI director. He's going to say, fuck you. How about that? Because he's never going to, he's done his last election. Oh, he's going to be off the chain. He's going to be crazy. Also, if Trump is losing, by 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be even crazier. Because he's going to sit right there and say they stole it. I'm directing the Attorney General to shut down all ballot places in all 50 states. It's going to be no. He's not going out easy. Trump, if Biden's winning, Trump is going to do some crazy shit.
So that was recorded 4 years ago tomorrow, October 31st of 2020. Steve Bannon telling you the plot. Telling you what they wanted to do. It's the same thing. History repeating itself. It's the same thing. When are you going to accept the fact that you've been lied to? When? When are you going to accept the fact that you can't win elections on merit? You can only do it by cheating. Projections are always coming from inside the house, right? You accuse the left of cheating all the time. It's you guys who cheat. You don't want to run on policy because you can't. You don't want to run on morals because you can't. You don't want to run on values because you can't. All you want to do is cheat. That's it.
Yeah. And notice, Steve Bannon has been abandoned.
He has. So WART, Wart in the chat, you just said Democrats cheat. Come up in the box and we can talk about it because I'd love to hear your argument for this, friend. So I'd love to hear your argument, but I don't think you will.
There was a guy that was arrested the other day for stealing ballots during a test. And he was a member of what party? That would be the Republican Party.
Correct. Hi, Jess.
Good morning, my favorite people.
Hey, Jess.
I thought Olive left, and I was like, no, where'd she go?
I'm having connection problems. It's that MAGA Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on.
To the person who asked if MAGA was going to go away, and you answered, and I don't think I really want those people to really stop talking about how they feel because, and I say this every day, and I really feel strongly about this, if I don't know how these people feel, then I don't know whether to cut them off in my life or not. I want people to show their ass. I want you to tell me who the fuck you really are so that I can make a decision of whether I want those people in my life or not. So I don't want it to necessarily go away. I don't think we'll ever go back to boring politics. I mean, it'd be great, but what would we talk about?
That's a good point.
Like, I don't think it should.
Yeah, I'm tired of the hate. Like, I am sick and tired of people just using platforms to just spew their nonsense. There was a back and forth yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys saw this. It was a hardcore right wing fascist who was I think he was debating. I forget who it was. Anyway, there was this rhetoric back and forth. He was talking about how this gentleman was saying, I'm pro human rights in Palestine, and this guy responded by saying, "I hope your beeper doesn't go off." So, and then the media, to CNN in the host's defense, she immediately stepped in and said that was just ridiculous. But they didn't end the conversation there, right? The conversation continued, and his just lame ass apology, and then our guest previously trying to say that, because Bill Clinton said something back in 1990, and the only thing he saw that was hateful was from a comedian, and even then, it wasn't that bad. I mean, come on. So yeah, that's right, Mehdi Hassan. That's right. Thank you for that. It was Mehdi. I love Mehdi. But that's what we're talking. I mean, again, so to your point, sure, but at some point, media's got to stop platforming these people.
Yes.
They can't. They're not productive members of society. They're garbage. They're garbage human beings. They're garbage. Yes, capital G, garbage.
Yeah. And listen, guys, I'll hold Biden accountable. The same way that I hold everybody else accountable. Like, should he have said that? No. But do I disagree with what he said? Absolutely not.
See, I'm with Obi. I think he should have said it because it's the truth. Let's be real. It's the truth. These people are fomenting violence. They're burning ballot boxes. They are going after people. They're making threats. They're calling Puerto Ricans that live on a garbage country. If you don't like the smoke, then stay out of the kitchen. That's the reality. You use this shit all the time. Donald Trump calls the Democrats the enemy from within, and you get up in your feelings because Donald Trump or because Joe Biden calls MAGA garbage. Miss me with that bullshit.
No, No, I agree. I understand that line of logic. I just think when you're in that role, you like, we hold Trump very accountable for that rally and how as a president he should not have allowed, like, they hired a comedian who we know roasts people. Like, he knew what was going to happen. He allowed Sid Rosenberg to speak at that rally. He knew what Sid Rosenberg was about, so he knew what he was doing. And I just feel like, you know, at some point everybody just has to stop. Everybody just has to stop. But again, I've cut a lot of people off, and I'm grateful for that. Now I know who you are. Now I know that your morals and values, you don't give a fuck about me, and you can stay out of my life.
Preach.
So, real quick, guys, we are streaming on YouTube. So if you have not gone over there and liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. We're trying to get that off the ground. It has been gaining a lot of traction, but we'd love it to get a little bit more while it's live, not after it's done. So before you guys leave here, if you could just run over there, leave a comment, and just subscribe to the channel, we would really appreciate that. I love you guys so much.
We love you too,
Bye,
Jess. Thank you very much for being here.
You know, and the other thing too, and I was saying, I don't want politics to go back to the way it was at all. I want to keep moving forward. I want to see more people. I want to see even more people start to be more and more involved with what's going on. And if anything, it's bringing more attention, and it's also helping my generation. You know.
Yeah.
I also don't think that there will ever be a moderate Republican ever again. I think the Republican Party is at its downfall, and it will continue to downfall until further notice. And then they're going to have to make a whole new party, and hopefully that party actually has morals and values.
So this is reporting from the BBC. This is in regards to the comment that Joe Biden made. So President Biden has tried to clarify comments that triggered a fresh row after he was accused of calling supporters of Donald Trump garbage. He was responding to comic Tony Hinchcliffe, who sparked controversy by calling Puerto Rico a U.S. territory, an island of garbage, during a Trump rally on Sunday. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. Biden was initially quoted as saying on Tuesday, prompting an angry Republican backlash. The White House later released a transcript which included an apostrophe and said the president was talking about the words of Hinchcliffe and not all Trump supporters. The only garbage I see floating out there is Trump's supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable and it's un-American, the transcript reads. Again, the only garbage I see floating out there is Trump's supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable and it's un-American, the transcript reads. Biden himself later addressed his video call with a nonprofit organization, Voto Latino, writing on X earlier today. I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporters at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at the rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. Trump's backers have seized upon the comments, making comparisons with the controversial remark by Hillary Clinton in 2016, calling his supporters a basket of deplorables. She was right. As the war of words escalated, Trump himself suggesting Kamala Harris, his rival for the White House, was running a, quote, campaign of hate. During his campaign, Trump has repeatedly referred to his opponents as the enemy from within, rhetoric that Harris described as divisive. Referring to the Biden comment, Trump said, "You can't lead America if you don't love the American people." So I think that addresses it right there. Again, I don't care. It's the truth.
And if anything, I think Trump is just a massive hypocrite. I mean, he legitimately is the party of hate. That's what it is. And it's, I don't know. I don't think I've ever called myself tolerable. I don't tolerate much. I tolerate a lot with my kids, but that's because they're my babies. But at the end of the day, I don't tolerate from grown ass people.
Excuse me, sir. You had something to say, H-Sen. How are you? Hello?
I didn't know his
H-Sen?
thing was more important.
I don't know either. Okay. Z, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So you're saying that Trump supporters are garbage? You're agreeing with Biden?
I think people at this point who still support Donald Trump are garbage. Yep.
Oh, okay. So what's your basis on that?
Well, are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah. And
I
was born as an American like you. So what's your basis?
Do you believe it's okay to sexually assault a woman?
If civilly, I mean,
that's not the question I asked you, sir.
Yeah,
Stop with the
civilly,
semantics game. I'm asking you a question. Do you think it's okay to sexually? Excuse me. Do you think
I
it's
just
okay to
answered
sexually?
it.
Do you think it's okay to sexually assault a woman?
No, but that talking point's so freaking. You're using the same thing over and over.
You're garbage.
You literally use the same talking points.
You're
You are
garbage.
no different than the bottom of the grass on the bottom of my shoe.
You're garbage.
I'll say it even louder than Biden did. All Trump supporters are garbage.
Yeah. Do you think it's okay? Do you have kids?
What?
Do you have kids?
Why do you want to know if I have kids?
I'm just asking.
That's
Do you think
freaking
it's-
weird.
No, it's just a question,
I
right?
don't. Well, that's my personal life. I don't want to talk about my personal
Great.
life.
You can go live in the garbage can with the rest of you fucking traitors. Get the hell out of here. Again, this is the situation, right? For 8 years, we have listened to the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump's mouth that everybody, unless you're a white tea man in our country, unless you're Christian, you're the enemy from within. You scapegoat and you subjugate every possible ethnicity, religion, race, sexual orientation all day, every day. You call people illegals. You're transphobic. You're homophobic. You're racist. You're bigoted. And because Joe Biden speaks honestly, clarifies his comment, refers to people who would support that as garbage, and you're all up in your feelings, give me a fucking break. Seriously, give me a break. You can miss me with your bullshit. Give me a break. Don't like the heat, then maybe you shouldn't be supporting a racist fascist. That's the reality of it. Michelle, how are you today?
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever joined a live, but I wanted to actually piggyback off of what Martina said, or Martini, I'm sorry, with regards to politics not being discussed. I remember growing up and it was never discussed in our households. I wasn't aware of how important politics was in our everyday life until I was a mom myself and realizing that, a lot of the services my special needs kids receive were getting a lot of backlash from the Republican Party. And I grew up Republican. I was raised in a Republican household. Like my grandmother would be like, you can only vote Republican or you're not welcome in this house. And I didn't think anything of it, but it was never discussed. We weren't informed on having an opinion in itself. And I think that's something that needs to be discussed. I think our kids need to be exposed to politics in a non-biased way. Let them watch what we watch and then ask them how they feel about it, how they take the information, how they perceive or receive the information, and make informed decisions based off of that. And I feel like that's the least biased way to go about bringing politics into family homes and into our homes.
Yeah, I think in an idyllic world, Michelle, I think sadly because there's a lot of families in our nation that, quite frankly, are failing their kids. I mean, they're not letting them be open-minded. They're not willing to give them an opportunity to do exactly what you described. I'm with you. I mean, that's why I've been having these conversations with my kids for a very long time. I show them what's out there. They can form their own opinions. We've had a hard conversation. I remember conversations with my boys before Joe Biden decided to step down, saying, I don't know if I can vote for Joe Biden. He doesn't do anything for me. I'm sick of old white guys running the country. I'll probably vote because I have my sister and, I want to defend her rights, but I'm not really intrigued by that. And then when you're looking at the other side, they realize what's at stake. But that requires a commitment from people who are influential in their lives. And it can't just be left to the hope that people are going to be willing to sit down and say, here's a thought experiment. These are your choices. That requires a commitment. I hear you. I mean, I think it's great, but that's a big ask.
And Michelle, the other thing too is, when we're talking about different things as simple as Trump wanting to get rid of the DOE, I'm a special needs educator. Actually, as we speak, I'm currently getting ready to write my congressman and write a letter to Congress to actually fix what's going on because they're trying to cut our special needs budget. So that's been a whole nother debacle that's been going on.
Agreed.
But it's things like that, and especially within my generation being Gen Z, there's a lot of us that inform ourselves, but there's still tons of us that don't. And a lot of us that don't are the ones that are, in that mindset of, it could be their parents saying, if you don't vote Republican, you can't stay here. Or it could just be the fact that they're so used to indoctrination in a sense that they're comfortable and they're like, I don't want to step outside of my box. I grew up with my parents being divorced, and I lived in multiple different states. I lived out of the country for about 4 years, but I always, I went back home to where I was born in Michigan. And my biological father and stepmom are massive Trump supporters. My mom and bio dad, or stepdad, excuse me, are not. So it just, I agree with you in the sense that parents need to be able to let these kids think on their own, and honestly, even inform them in different shapes or forms. Even when bad things happen, within candidates that we look up to and stuff like that, like teach your kids how to hold, their own accountable. Teach them how to use their voices and be like, you're not doing what you told me you were going to do. You're not doing what, and I think that's something that we all need to work on in general, because I remember, and after the very first debate with Biden and Trump, I told people Biden didn't do good. Yeah, he was saying truths, but optics did not look good for Biden. And the first thing I got called in a circle of mutual is, well, you're no different than a Trump supporter. No, the difference is I'm willing to call it out from within, my own party
Lots
that
of
I'm
background
voting
noise.
for.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry. No, that's yeah. So to that point, Michelle, again, I do hear what you're saying, and I think that's my hope for the future. Basic civics again, people understanding how government works. There's a lot to it, but thank you for jumping in today, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. See you later.
Keep doing what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I love that idea. I love that approach to trying to solve problems. And yeah, let's do it. Thank you for ordering some merch. I appreciate you. Biden did save the country. You're absolutely right. Scott, does not look like you're connecting, friend. You're more than welcome to request again. I'll bring you right back up.
Liquid Thoughts, request a box.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll go till noon today. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Please keep tapping. Please consider contributing to the Gifting Gold. Join our team. Please consider subscribing. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, I want to say that I am a lifelong Republican. I started voting for Reagan. It'll give you an idea of how old I am. This past Monday I voted, and I voted Harris.
What was it finally for you? What was it for you, Richard?
I'll tell you, you guys touched on it a little bit when I heard the debate earlier this year with Biden and Trump. I was so taken back by how, and I'll be honest with you, how terrible Biden had done. I said, there's no way the Democrats are going to have a chance with this guy. And no sooner than I said that, he drops out of the race. And what it did was, for me, is it gave me an opportunity to really take a look at Harris. And, I voted for Trump in 2016, but the first crisis that we had for in the Trump first year, for his first term, was the pandemic. And his handling of the pandemic was so poor that at the end, and by the way, I lost my brother to Corona.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. He handled it so poorly. I was so angry at him that I just couldn't vote for him again. So I did vote for Biden in the 2020 election. And then this year I was like, well, let's see what the Republicans do. And they brought him back again. So I was looking for a reason not to vote for him. And then when they brought Harris up and I started researching Harris, and, she comes from a very similar background as my own, single parent home, self-made, consistently showed how the American dream can be lived through this woman. Absolutely, just impeccable credentials and truly ready to run our country. And the more, and by the way, I'm Italian and Puerto Rican. And, I was so happy that I made my decision to go with Harris, especially after hearing what happened at his rally on Sunday.
Right.
I was just so disgusted by, and not so much by what that person had said, as much. I mean, I was disgusted by that, by for sure, but by how Trump did not come out and say, "Hey, you know what? That guy was off. That's not my beliefs. That's I apologize for that guy." But for him not to even offer up an apology, for him to do this, the simple apology, to just say, "Listen, folks, that guy does not share. I don't share that guy's views, and Puerto Rico isn't a garbage pail." But he feels that way, and he feels that it's okay for people to do whatever the hell they want during his campaign. So Biden saying that the people that follow him are garbage, he's correct.
He is correct.
He's correct. And by the way, I don't think that there is much garbage that they're just not informed. Just look at some of his supporters. I mean, they just are ill-informed.
Yes, and not yes, but yes, and they have decided that his criminality, his sexual abuse, his fantasies about his own daughter, he's saying he's going to date a 10-year-old in 10 years. They've decided that those things are not deal breakers. So those, from my estimation, makes you garbage.
How did that happen? Like, what has happened here? I mean, it's just, I'm a God-fearing man. I grew up in a Catholic household. I went to Catholic school. And I'm a Christian. When did that happen? Like, when did people just stop caring? Like, it breaks your heart. It really does.
It's because, and I've thought about this, it's because Donald Trump tapped into the white man grievance. The self-proclaimed victims, meanwhile, the white men in our society have every possible privilege there is, and they won't ever accept that. So he was able to tap into that anger. He was able to tap into that, thinking that our society is changing. According to the census and demographics, it is. But he created a situation where I'm your savior. Follow me. Trust in me. Like the snake from the Jungle Book, right? Trust in me. I will take you to the promised land. I will return you to your status at the top of the patriarchy. And then everybody else are the enemy. Everybody else are the potholes along the way. Everyone else is out to get you. Everyone else is out to take the slice of your pie. So it becomes this victimhood. And then when you're in the cult, you can't criticize the cult leader. That is by definition. So, initially it might be, I like what this guy's saying, America first, that it makes sense, sure. But now, because you're all in on Trumpism, you can just ignore the racist tropes. You can ignore the fact that he called the entire country garbage, wants to use the U.S. military to round up people who don't agree with him politically, calls veterans suckers and losers. Literally we can run down the checklist, and none of that will matter to them because they still see him as this savior.
It's terrible.
It is. But I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for your commitment to democracy. And I appreciate your vote for Kamala Harris, but I want you to make sure that she's earned it. So I want you to make sure that you're holding her accountable.
I'm going to hold her accountable. And by the way, I also voted blue up and down, simply because Republicans, that as I see it, the vast majority of them don't have the balls to stand up and say, this guy is an animal and we cannot put him back in the White House. They will not stand. They will back him. That Cruz, oh my God, that Cruz. And he's a Latino, which is really heart-sickening.
I know.
It just breaks your heart. Like, wow, I'll tell you. So thank you very much. I'm going to continue to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you very much, sir. Congratulations, and thank you for seeing the light, friend. You have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
That's was exciting. A plot twist I enjoyed. I love that. I love hearing that too.
Me too. Love that. I think it's fabulous. The more the better. The more opportunities we have for those conversations, the better we all are. Love that. Scott, it's just not like you're connecting, sir. Don't know what's going on there.
And the other thing about that too, Steve, is when we're talking about what's going to happen after, the whole mega cult thing, people like Richard give me hope that it's not going to be all of them. It's going to be, majority of them. But there are some who are starting to, quote unquote, wake up and be like, hey, something's not right. Like, let's actually, think about this for a second.
Right. I mean, just think about the cracks within the Republican firewall, as they say. James, how are you today? James, are you there? James. James going once, twice. Thank you, James. Appreciate you. I know, but W's in the chat for Richard. Hi, Vicky. How are you?
Good morning. You know, it's really good to hear, like the previous gentleman who said he was a Republican and he's voting Democrat. Now, I was raised, my father a Marine and the son of a Lutheran minister. I'm a boomer. Okay. My dad obviously was a Republican, my mother a Democrat. And my mom was also Catholic. So if you wanted to start a war in the house, talk about politics and religion, and everything went kind of to hell real fast, you know?
That's true.
But back then, Republicans aren't what they are now. Now, I am very pro Second Amendment. I own several pews, and you know, I actually had to use, not discharge, but somebody boarded my motor yacht that I live on at 5 o'clock in the morning, and if I didn't have that, he probably may have accosted me. So, you know, they have a purpose. And I'm also being transgender. I'm a target. You know, I paint a big target on my back. But I really think and hope that, yes, there will be MAGA left. It'll take some time to die away if the Liz Cheneys of the Republican Party and people that are decent Republicans like John McCain and people like him were stand up and knock all that hatred down. You know, I voted already. I voted in Maryland for my first time in Maryland. And of course, I obviously voted for the right choice, you know.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I think what you said is really, really important, Vicky. It's about people in the past. So here's the weird phenomenon, right? You could not get more conservative, traditional conservatism than Liz Cheney, right? She voted with Trump like 95% of the time, or whatever the number was. So typically, that would be the kind of person that you might get MAGA men to vote for the presidency. Somebody who aligns with their political beliefs, their ideologies. You know, she's been against gay marriage in the past. She's been against abortion rights in the past. That would be somebody that you could get them to vote for. But because she says this guy is a traitor to the country, this guy tried to subvert democracy, this guy tried to overthrow the will of the people, she becomes a rhino. And she becomes hated in her own party just because she stood up for the Constitution. That shows you how far.
Well, yeah, and same thing with Mike Pence. I mean, you know, they were ready literally to lynch the guy because he did the right thing, and I just don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand how many people are so drunk on the MAGA Kool-Aid that they can't see it.
I know.
Like, you know, I've said multiple times, look, if the Republicans are smart, they'll let this go. They'll even push to get Kamala Harris in, and then they'll rebuild their party to their, you know, to their values, but be
and I think you're seeing
decent humans, you
and
know.
I think that's what you're.
I mean,
that's what you're seeing. That's exactly what you're seeing. Exactly.
It may take longer, and like being in the yachting community, literally a lady going through the marina took a picture of my boat, put it on the local town Facebook page, and said it's so beautiful to see diversity. Right now, all the MAGA cultists started coming out hating on me because, you know, my boat, if you go on my profile, you can see it's got pride flags and trans flags all over it. And it also has Harris Walls flags. And the visceral hate levied against me and my boat caused the moderator to pull the picture down. And it was, let's face it, it was a generally positive post.
I'm sure it
was. You know, it was about...
Just talking to you before, I know you're a vet, and you represent so many communities in our country, sadly, that the Republican Party has forgotten and just ignored, and instead turned towards hate and everything else. So, Vicky, it's always good to talk to you. I appreciate you coming in, and
Yeah, thank you.
there's a lot of people in the chat that said if you're either a native person from Maryland or you're now one of them because of the way you said Maryland. So apparently you've been adopted.
Yeah. I as soon as I got here, I was corrected. So I,
Thank you for being here, Vicky. I appreciate you. And
yeah,
thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
You got it. You have a great day.
Thank
See you
you.
later. You got it. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
I'm just going to play the disclaimer real quick, and I'll use that for a potty break. Hang on one second.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only. We now return you to our regularly scheduled pandemonium, already in progress.
There is 1,600 of y'all in here. If y'all don't mind, continue tapping that screen for me as we await Steve to return back. Keep tapping, share this live out. We're at 1,300 shares. Let's at least get up to 2,000 shares. Just keep pushing and share the live out. Follow Steve, give him a little heartbeat, help him get on the FYP. Keep him there.
So I just checked on the dog. So real quick, I think I should just share this, everybody, just so you can see what he went through yesterday. Poor guy. Oh, the cone of shame. There it is.
Oh, God.
I know. Jake, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing today, Steve?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to come up because of what Richard had come up and said, voting blue down ballot. I mean, real Republicans, true Republicans are going to vote blue down ballot. MAGA is not Republican. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Correct.
There are going to be people that are voting Republican for the sake of voting Republican, but you're not a real Republican if you're voting for Trump.
That's true. And they're proud about that, though, Jake. They will admonish. Like I think the example of Liz Cheney is the perfect example. I mean, she is exactly what traditional Republicans would want and would idolize, right? Comes from a legacy family, political family. Again, votes with Trump 95% of the time. All these kinds of things. A traditional Republican, somebody they could perhaps get behind to run for the presidency. And yet, because she stands up to Trump and says, you violated the Constitution, you talk about it all the time, you're an insurrectionist, and then suddenly she's hated. It's weird. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, that cult mentality is just absolutely insane. I kind of hope Kamala invites her to her cabinet. I know she said she was open to having Republicans in her cabinet. I wouldn't mind Liz Cheney probably being in there.
Maybe. I think it depends on what it would be. Again, I do not like Liz Cheney's politics. I respect her integrity, but I'll never like her politics.
I agree. I'm definitely not a supporter of Liz Cheney, but I would support her over Orange Man Bad any day.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Jake. No doubt about that. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here as always.
Thanks, Steve.
You got it. Have a good day.
You too.
There's names that have been floated around out there from, in some circles about potential Republicans to join a cabinet. I don't think it's a bad play, to be honest with you. Again, West Wing, art imitates life. You had that famous West Wing scene where the Alan Alda character was running against the Jimmy Smits character. And he's like, I'd like you to serve as Secretary of State. And then they have this back and forth, say, listen, I'm not going to go out and campaign for you. I get it. But if I tell you what to do from a foreign policy perspective, I expect you to do it. And it's like, okay, let's do that. We could sign up for that. I have no issues there. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Again, somebody just mentioned this is in the merch store. It's I Am Fucking Zen. You'll find that link in the link tree in my bio. Hi, Daniel. How are you today? Daniel, are you there? I guess not. Daniel might be duct taping. Daniel it might have been a pocket dial. Who knows?
Duct taping and some kind of screw.
I don't know. Maybe he knows where the bodies are. That'd be a little scary.
I'll have to send him a message.
May, I'm sorry. It looks like you've been timed out there. Get duct tape with a drill or a shovel. Facts hurt the Trumpers. They seem to. How are you today?
Good. How about you, Steve?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to join in with everybody else talking about what Richard said.
Yeah.
For the MAGA that's listening to your call right now, I want you guys to really listen to what Richard said. And he's a Republican, and he voted against Trump. And for all you guys that keep talking about in 2020 how it was rigged because how did Biden get 81 million votes? That's why. That's exactly why. Because Republicans, independents, and Democrats voted for Biden. Now, you'll notice in the down ticket, Republicans won a bunch of things too. It's because people knew that Trump was bad and they went country before politics. And that was a prime example of what Richard did. He realized Trump was bad, voted against him, and that's how Biden won. Plain and simple. The maths. I don't know why you guys can't figure that out.
It's a really good point, and we're going to see it more in this election.
Oh,
right?
big
We
time.
saw it a little bit. We saw it a little bit in 2022. You know, the expectation of the red wave. We saw it then. See, the overall, the American electorate isn't stupid. You know, we're not the smartest, most well-educated country in the world, but for people see it. People pay attention. People don't pay attention to it as much as we do. And I don't recommend what we do for everyone's mental health, but that's a different conversation. But people see it. And for 8 years now, it's been the same old message. It's been a message about fear and hate and scapegoating and blaming everybody else and weaponized government and witch hunts and all these kinds of things. Finally, people are just like, I've had enough. You know, this guy has been the same he's been. He never tells me anything positive. He calls, Puerto Rican the island of garbage, although he didn't say it, but he doubled down on it. And the entire country is a garbage can. The U.S. is laughed at. Nobody cares about us. We have no power, blah, 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 blah. It just gets old. And like we said earlier, the fear that his voters have comes from him. He's telling them to be afraid.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I agree with that. Somebody just said in the chat, I think from Pittsburgh, I'm not. But anyway, one of the things that I like that you've said in the past and that now I have seen videos of is, hey, nobody needs to know who you voted for. That's a great way of voting this year. I love that Kamala has an ad about that because you don't fight with your friends, don't fight with your family, just vote your conscience and just do the right thing. You don't need, you don't owe anybody a reason why you voted. You know, and last but not least, because I know you got a bunch of people on here.
We lost you.
Oh, you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I got a call. It went through. You have heard it from me before. I'll say it again. I'm the one that coined the McDonald's Messiah about a year and a half ago, not knowing that he'd work at McDonald's. So I have been saying,
Messiah. I'll give you that credit,
I've been
friend.
calling him the McDonald's Messiah for about a year and a half in my videos, and it finally has come true.
It's appropriate and it works, and you can own that. Just like I own calling Olive a Gen Z influencer. You can own. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Later.
God, I remember when I saw the photos come up from that, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?"
I know. I know.
Crazy.
French fry fascist. Yeah, exactly. What's the other one? Yeah. Terry, how are you today? Terry?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Well, I just hope that this election and the way, and Trump will probably be pretty much out of elections from now on, but I'm hoping that this election people take away that power, bullyism, negativism isn't going to get you what you want, that everybody has to compromise and listen to one another. And I'm hoping that whether you're Republican or Democrat, that from this day forward, we go with the idea that I've got to listen, whether you agree with them, but at least listen to them. And I think Kamala is going to make sure that we hear this.
Terry, do we need to listen to people who are outwardly hateful towards others?
No, we don't. We don't need to listen to people that out. I'm hoping that some of the hate deteriorates because I think Kamala has the power to get into some of MAGA.
I don't.
I think
Not
once she's
MAGA.
in,
I think
once
she
they
has the
see
ability.
other Republicans.
Well, I think she has the ability to get into moderate Republicans, but I think that if you're so what you're suggesting is a party that has literally been fueled by racism, bigotry, misogyny, sexism, et cetera, is suddenly going to be influenced by a black woman in America? I think that's a stretch. I appreciate your optimism. I really do. But I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
it's
a
also a stretch. I mean, they really believed that it was a stretch that first of all, a woman getting into presidency ever, let alone a black woman. And with her showing the people, because I really do believe she's going to win. I wholeheartedly believe she's going to win. And I think it's going to be by more than what a lot of people think it is. But I'm wholeheartedly hoping that, with this, okay, we didn't think it was going to happen in the first place, but it did happen. And it's going to make them step back. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect in the near future, but maybe in like 10 years or so, or 12 years or so, I hopefully my children, my grandchildren don't have to go through what we've been going through the last 12 years.
That's fair, but I have no interest in sitting across the table from someone who's just decided, oh yeah, okay, I was wrong. Let's break bread. No, you got to prove it. It's less talking about it, more being about it. If you want to create this environment that you're talking about where we can have these civil conversations again, I think I've proven up here that I'll talk to anybody, with exceptions that I'm not going to platform hate. So I'm not interested in people that will vote literally to take away my daughter's rights to her body. I'm not interested in talking about that. I'm not interested in talking to somebody who wants to fearmonger and spread misinformation and lies and say white supremacist tropes and racist tropes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to your point, for us to get there, it has to come from them, not from us. Not from us.
Right. And that's it's going to have to. And I'm hoping, Trump was so powerful with his negativity, so powerful. And I think that's also what put them there. I mean, oh yeah, there's always been arguments against, pro-life, pro-choice, that's part of our nature to have two different sides. But it has gone to the extreme with Trump. It has seriously gone to the extreme. And I'm hoping that maybe they see, well, this didn't work. We're going to have to take another avenue. Maybe we need to be, less aggressive, I guess is what I want to say. Less aggressive in getting our thoughts ahead
across.
across.
From them, though, Terry, but it's got to come from them. It can't come from us.
It does.
Yeah, so they have to show that they can repent.
And I'm hoping that MAGA's listening, and they just at least sit back. And I don't expect it until after the election because, it's probably going to be halfway through Kamala's term before they will even acknowledge that Trump might have been wrong in some points, not all points.
You're more of an optimist than I am, Terry, but I appreciate your perspective on that, friend. Thank you for being here today. Okay, you have a great day.
Okay, thank you. You have a wonderful day and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. See you later. I get what you're saying. I get it. In fact, that's a goal for all of us. Sure.
I wouldn't break bread with people who voted for it and aren't going to change. I have always been that way. I will stand 10 toes down in the sand for it. I am not going to break bread with someone who doesn't change.
Agreed. Ekroden, how are you today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah, in terms of what Terry just brought up, are you familiar with the paradox of intolerance?
Yeah, the no tolerant for the intolerant?
Yeah. So with Biden's comments about Trump supporters, doesn't that basically help combat the intolerance that MAGA constantly spews?
To combat it?
Yeah, by calling it out and being more aggressive.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying you supported what he said?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too. Yeah, I've just in this live. Obviously, we don't want to see the president have to say things like that, but it's true. Let's be real. We know what MAGA stands for, and how else could you consider it anything other than trash? Let's be real.
Yeah, and honestly, don't you think the Democratic Party should take more of a aggressive stance like Biden did with that comment instead of just condemning it and being more aggressive about the condemnation of those hateful words from MAGA?
I don't think it's necessary, at this point in time. I think we're talking about contrast in elections. And again, Kamala Harris is talking about hope. Kamala Harris is not Joe Biden. She's talking about a message of hope, about an opportunity economy, about the preservation of rights for others. I mean, we know she's been very direct calling him a fascist. She's been very direct. When you call him a fascist, you're labeling the MAGA movement. I mean, we know what they do. We don't have to. Joe Biden is, he's done. He's served his country for 50 plus years. He's been a patriot, a selfless politician, which we never see. I don't think she needs to do it.
Okay. That's really all I had to talk about. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Appreciate you for being here. Have a good day. I get it. Sure. But let's, 6 days. 6 days to get it done. 6 days. Just as a reminder, friends, what you see above me, this symbol up here, this is for the United States U.S. Election Assistance Commission. There's a website, eac.gov. Basically, they're there if you see things nefarious, like for your safety. If you have questions about your voter registration, voting in your state, need contact information in your state or local offices, you can go to eac.gov/vote. Telephone number is 866-747-1471. Again, that's 866-747-1471. If you see something, say something, right? The Joker, how are you today?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So just wanted to say, growing up, I used to be a Republican.
Okay.
Ever since the first time Trump ran, his rhetoric, the way he talks, his fear mongering, and pretty much reminded me of Schmittler.
Mhm.
And I'm a Jewish. I'm a Jewish. I'm religious, not religious, but like I'm moderate religious. And I had distant family, who have passed away in the Holocaust. It brought a lot of bad memories. I'm a big history buff. So that's the main reason why I've voted against him, and hopefully this is the last time that he ever tries to run.
I think he's gone on the record publicly to say that if he, excuse me, if he does lose, then he'll not run again, which is everybody's hopeful for that. I mean, there's no way he would. He's in failing health. It's pretty obvious.
I've seen the one town hall where he was talking like to a bunch of like people, and he said that if I lose, the Jewish people have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, what a great way to not get their vote.
Another example of him not trying to bring in new voters. It's just another example. It's the worst run campaign, arguably, that I have ever seen. There is no reach out to new voters. None.
Yeah, and all the people who are giving him so much credit for the economy, he inherited Obama's economy.
Correct.
And then he took it and ruined it. I mean, obviously, COVID had something to do with it as well, which wasn't really his fault, but he didn't act quick enough on it.
Correct. And lie to the American people about its severity, too. Let's be real.
Right. 100%. So that's, like I said, that's the main reason is why he reminded me of Schmittler. And that's exactly why I did not vote for him. And I've turned to be a Democrat ever since he ran. And I saw the Republican Party go into a mega party.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear you say that. And I say this to people who've converted from being a Republican to being a Democrat. You'll find, if you're willing to participate, a fundamental difference is that Democrats will hold our elected officials accountable. If they do not do the job, then we will vote their asses out. If they do not uphold the values that we care about, then we will vote their asses out. If they blatantly
100%.
lie to our faces, then we will vote their asses out. So that is a big difference. And I don't think that gets talked about enough because we deal with all the rhetoric and everything else here, but we see it time and time and time and time again. Not even, there were MAGA Republicans that were sort of trying to defend George Santos. That's a perfect example. So this is what we do here.
I 100% agree with you, but I'm gonna let you go because I know you got other people. But I appreciate for your time and
Appreciate you,
for
brother.
what you're doing here. Have a good
Thank
one.
you, bro. Appreciate you very much. Have a good day. You know what I mean, Olive? It's like it's easy to say, how could you not? How could you say that you want to contribute to our system of government? How could you say that you support the American ideals when the person that you want to vote for literally wants to terminate the Constitution, literally wants to
It's
take people's rights away,
it's
and yet
hypocrisy.
it is.
That's all it's ever been, and it's like that's the biggest thing I always hit hard when it comes to even discussing anything with any opposition in a sense. I mean,
Right.
I've gotten to the point where I don't care anymore. Legitimately, 6 days, the election's almost over. We're gonna see what happens next. The only thing I'm concerned about is the aftermath. Not necessarily like a J6 level, but I don't know what's gonna happen afterwards. Like, what is MAGA gonna do? What is their next step?
Yeah, we'll do them. They will do what they do, and they'll end up in jail.
Good,
Hey,
good.
Carlos, how are you today? Carlos, Carlos, are you there? Okay. It's a good question. Yeah, from Bronstick about Trump's false bravado and why it appeals to men. Well, that's easy if you think about it, because first of all, part of the allure of Trump has been able to convince people, the working poor in our country, that they too can be a billionaire, right? So he's able to convince them, I am your path to greatness. I am your path to wealth beyond your wildest dreams. It literally sounds like a fairy tale, but he's been able to tap into that. So this goes to the whole toxic masculinity and how he promotes it. And then you get younger influencers, the Andrew Tate effect,
Yep.
Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. That has become MAGA's definition of masculine, which is why they get triggered by men who paint their fingernails or
Well,
whatever else it might be. And it's
and
appealing because they feel like they're losing their manhood
and
because
and
God forbid if they were to ever to vote for a woman.
And the other thing too is the red pill theory is such a heavy thing and it affects a lot of younger men in this society and stuff. And you have people like Joe Rogan, you have people like Andrew Tate, you have people like, Logan Paul and stuff like that who openly talk about politics and how they support Trump. And they're like, you know what, this is what a true man does. And it's like, no, that's not the case. These are also the same men that sit there and say, when we're talking about bodily autonomy for women, well, she should have kept her legs closed. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, that's the patriarchy, right? And I mean, we've said this before. We obviously know how harmful toxic masculinity is to women, but it's also harming to men, right? Somebody just asked my opinion
Agreed.
on Charlie Kirk. I share my opinions on things that matter. Charlie Kirk is a fly on the ass of life. I've sent numerous messages to. I'm a nobody in the grand scheme of things here, but I sent a message to his team. Wanted to see if I could get him to join me for a debate. I'm sure he won't do it. I'm sure he gets asked a lot, but he's an example, right? He's an example of how young men are drawn to that. If you listen to what he says, it's just reciting the same old toxic masculinity, patriarchy, bigoted, racist rhetoric, and they're drawn to it. They're drawn to it because somebody talks fast, or because they have a big platform. Oftentimes, MAGA men in particular, they measure their worth by likes and follows. This influencer's got a few million followers, therefore they must be important. Therefore, I must listen to what they say. We see it on this app, right? We see it on this app with the older millennial fantasy. One of the worst, despicable examples of the danger of misinformation that we'll see. He'll literally go out there and just lie, and then his followers will just jump on it. That's the part
They'll
that
believe
really
a whole thing about it. A whole
exactly.
thing.
That's the part that really concerns me because that's not going to go away. So, cautionary tale, parents, your young men in particular. This is a call to hashtag boy dads out there and boy moms. Be mindful of where they get their messaging from. Be mindful of it. I am an advocate for being exposed to all sides of journalism just because I think it's necessary. So that first of all, that you know what the opposition is saying or from opinions from the other side, but just be mindful of where they get their information. There are things that you could be on the lookout for: the speech in which they use, how they use it, who their friends are. Those things are really, really important, and I don't want us to ignore that. And girl dads, are those the kind of men that you want your angelic little daughter to grow up around. Were you like that? Did you treat women that way? Did you look down to women? You may have, which is maybe why you'll excuse it. But that's the stuff that we have to talk about. That's what's going to exist past November 5th.
Yep.
I'll bring up Alex. Hi, Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Steve, and yourself?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I'm here for this. This is their last ditch effort. They've hitched their wagon. They've redone the courts. They've undermined the education system. This is all part of their plan, and it's fizzling. Trump has given them hope and then taken it away, in my mind, by being so extreme. But it's their only chance. So now they're going with the setting the stage for saying the election was stolen, and that's their last chance. They're not going to win elections in the future for a while until they reorganize their party, and I'm just here for them falling apart.
Yeah, I kind of am too, Alex. You know, I mean, the empath in me always this has been an interesting internal struggle for me because I am an empath, and to see people that are just so lost and so bewildered and so just confused that it's turned into this hatred. Part of me is like, I want to try to help. But then part of me is like, fuck that. I've done everything I can do. We've been talking about this shit for years. I've been on this platform every day, reminding them of what's at stake here. And again, no objective reason why you wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. There is no reason other than your own internal misogyny, racism, sexism, et cetera, et cetera.
It's because they're lost. They're lost,
Correct.
and that's been the Republican plan, to remake it with the courts and create an uneducated populace and create situations where we work until we die. Remove Social Security, start working when you're 12, 13, 14 years old, work till you die, and create a breeding class and take women's power away by making them raise children.
Correct.
And it's just all going to backfire. This has been their grand plan, and I think Trump gave them hope, and I think he's taking it away. It's just they had to hitch their wagon to him to have any hope, and now they're seeing that fizzle.
P.T. Barnum said it best. Sucker born every minute.
Yep. And that's been their philosophy. So I'll let you go. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents that everyone vote with your conscience. Don't vote with your hate.
Well said,
You know?
Alex. Well said.
So,
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you
yeah,
very
you have a
much.
good one, Steve.
You too. See you later. I love that. Vote with your conscience, not with your hate. I love that. That's the best. Maybe this is the time, Scott. I know you've made multiple requests. Maybe this is the time you'll connect. Who knows? Hey, Scott. How are you today?
Hey, I'm finally in.
Yes.
You sound very far away once I got on here. You were nice and you sounded great until I connected. Now you sound very far away.
No, I'm right here. Same
Oh,
spot.
there you go. There you go.
What's on your mind?
I just want to say, you know me. I listen to your show often. I've been on once or twice, and we've talked, and I think we've had a very cordial conversation both times I've been on. Very logical conversation. I think I gave you things to think about. You gave me things to think about. And this morning I was just listening, and I wasn't even going to jump in because I'm at work. But I have to say, you sound very angry this morning, and I wanted to ask: is that because Kamala's equal, or even maybe a little low in? Excuse me, Kamala. Biden calls her Kamala, so I've been calling her
No, he
that for a
doesn't.
long time.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, look it up. But anyways, that's besides the point. Is it because she's equal or a little less in the polls, or is it because of this Biden thing where he came out and said we're all garbage, and now that
Well,
kind of hurt
she's
her
not
a
she's
few
not
days
behind in the
just before
polls.
election?
She's
What's
not
got you riled up? Because you're riled up.
She's not. Well, she's not behind in the polls. First of all, Scott. Second of all, I don't know if you've been paying attention to early votes because they've become an overwhelmingly Democrat. Did you know that?
That's what I've heard.
Okay, well, it's true. I mean, we've got data to show us that. And by the way, 55% on average of all votes that are coming in early are being cast by women. So I would ask you this question. Yes, I would ask you this question, Scott. What does Trump stand for?
Well, answer my question first. What's got you so riled up this morning?
I'm not. I answered your question.
Well, you've been using some rhetoric that's very unlike you this morning. I mean, you've really been lashing out.
Like what?
Well, Biden called you garbage. You are all garbage. You are, and then when Hillary said you were deplorable, that's true too. You've been really lashing out. That's not like you.
It's
maybe
true.
I've missed out on your normal
Well, you're not.
conversations. Maybe I've got you in a good mood here and there,
Well,
but you seem to
Scott,
be
you're
more
first of all,
logical than that.
you're not really good at the gaslighting game, so I would suggest maybe not trying it. It's
And
six
being
days.
passive aggressive is
It's
crazy.
6 days away from the
I
election,
am
Scott.
not trying at all. I'm trying to
Scott,
say
Scott, it's
go
six
ahead.
days away from the election. I would like you to tell me what Trump and MAGA stands for.
Oh, well, I mean, what do they stand for
Yeah,
in general?
yeah.
Well, I mean, they stand for a party that wants to get the economy back on track, and
And how would they
they
do
want
that?
to secure the border. You asked me what they stood for. You're not asking me.
Yeah,
Can I respond with the
we'll take
question?
it one at a time. So how would they do that? How
Yeah.
would they get the economy back on track when the economy is booming?
Well, he's talking about getting the economy back on track as far as our prices going back down. We may be making a tad more money, but our prices are out the roof.
And what's Trump going to do to
A
cause
can of chili
deflation?
is $4, sir.
I'm sorry, what?
A can of chili is $4.
I don't know where you shop, bro, but so you support deflation, Scott?
Does that support deflation?
Yeah, because you think prices
Yeah.
are going to go. You think prices are going to go down, Scott?
No, I don't think prices, but we can keep them from going any further up.
So inflation right now. What's the inflation rate right now, Scott?
Oh, I don't have the percentage memorized. It's down.
Right. So
Yeah, so everything went down suddenly. It's almost time to vote, and now suddenly the border's under control. We're going down in prices. We're fighting the gas prices. Everything
Scott,
just before
let's
the
go back to the
election.
question. So it's not our fault that your party aligns with Yahtzee rhetoric. It's not our fault that your party literally says that people who don't support them, like myself and Olive, are the enemy from within. It's not our fault that the person who's leading your party is referred to by his 4-star, highly decorated generals as a fascist to the core. So that's not our fault. That's your choice. You're making the choice to vote for that
Fascist
person.
to a core,
So
to the
again,
core.
I'll ask you, what does Trump stand for, Scott, other than hate
Well,
and rhetoric?
I just said that. I will say this is also a last minute tactic. I noticed everyone switched gears here last few days. Now he's a Gotzi or whatever you want to call it on TikTok.
I've been saying that
That
forever.
was not
That's
even said before.
What?
No,
Yeah,
Scott,
We've been
you
saying that
love your
forever.
I've heard
ears.
that.
We've been saying that forever.
It is a main
Scott,
talking point now.
no,
It was never in the
Scott,
past.
it has been a thing since he has been quoting the man himself in multiple
Correct.
different speeches. The difference is you are now listening for some reason. Also, this automatic dropping of prices, everything has gradually been going down. You know that Inflation Reduction Act that Biden put into place? Yeah, that's what's going on. I
Yeah,
think
so
the other
Yeah.
thing you're trying to do is you're just trying to be, this ideology that there's a tolerant left. And I don't know if you were in here a little bit ago, but at this point, no one's tolerant of anything anymore. No one should be tolerant. I am intolerant
So
of
Scott, do
people
you know
like
what
you.
happened? Do you know what happened at Madison Square Garden in 1939?
Yeah.
What happened?
There was a Gotzi meeting where someone was sworn in and da 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 da.
Right. So it was the American Yahtzee Party called the Bund movement, right? So why
Yeah, you
why
realize
would
that a lot of people have been sworn in that
it's not about
Madison
being
Square
sworn
Garden.
in, Scott. It's not about being sworn in. So
A lot of politics have happened there.
right, but why would Trump, who is going to lose New York by nearly 20 points, why would he have a rally in New York where a lot of the rhetoric that was being uttered was exactly the same that was uttered in 1939? Why do you think they did that?
They had Israeli flags flying at the Yahtzee back in those days, back in the
Can you
1930s.
answer my question, please, Scott?
So I don't. I think he had it in the same place. I don't think it was anywhere near the same thing.
So again, you don't care, is my point. See, you don't care that
I don't care that they had it in the same place. I don't care that he had a political thing in the same place. No, I do not care about
because
that.
you don't care.
What's
You
there
don't
to care about? He had it in
You-
the same place.
No, Scott, you don't care that your feelings are hurt because you don't like the fact that the person you support is a full-blown fascist who idolizes, who says he wants his generals to be more like Schmittlers. You don't care about any of that stuff. That tells us
So what
exactly
did he
what
mean?
you
So
are.
what did he mean by that? If he said that, now one person said that who can't really be trusted. But even if he said that, the quote wasn't, "I wish he had generals that would do the same thing that the
That's not what I said. He
Nazis
said he
did."
wished his generals were more like Schmittlers.
that loyalty like them. I would wish I would have generals that had that much loyalty too. I think
And
anybody would if they
don't
had
you think
generals
there
that
are?
they were in
Don't you
charge of.
think there are other loyal? Okay. So you think it's, again? This is the point, Scott. Pay attention, everybody. 1,400 people in here. We're about to unpack this with Scott here. You think it's okay for a person who's running for the presidency, who's already been labeled a fascist, who sees it every single day, who said that he wants his generals to be more like Schmittler's? There are thousands of other military leaders throughout our history that he could have compared them to. Why did he pick Schmittler?
Well, like you said, labeled a fascist by your side, not by.
No, he's a fascist.
Not by. Well, according to you.
Well, he is a fascist.
Prove that.
Every time he opens his mouth, Scott.
Every time he opens his mouth, that doesn't prove anything. You know,
answer my
tell me
question?
exactly.
Why did he pick Schmittler? Why did he pick Schmittler, Scott?
Well, no, you're bringing up stuff and then ignoring it when I challenge you on it.
No, I asked you a question and then you pivoted.
So for all the thousands and thousands of people out there listening, and asking questions,
Scott, I asked you a question. Scott, answer the question. Scott, answer the question. Why did he pick Schmittler?
Yours. I'm asking you to answer mine.
You haven't answered my question. Why did he choose Schmittler to make that comparison to?
Your question was why did he have it there? Does that bother me? And I said no.
No,
then you said he's been compared to he's been compared.
Right, and then I asked the second question. Why, Scott?
A fascist.
Why
I'm asking you how, and you can't answer that.
Scott, why did he pick Schmittler to compare to? Why?
To the thousands of people out there, it's an easy question. Back up your support that he's a fascist.
Why did he pick Schmittler to compare?
Can't do it.
Why did he choose Schmittler? Scott,
the new talking point, you can't back it up.
I know this is hard.
It's been a talking point forever, and you can't back it up.
Why did he pick Schmittler for his comparison? Why?
Can't do it, can you?
Why did he pick it, Scott?
Well, his generals were extremely loyal. His generals were seen. I mean, Rommel. It cannot be denied. He was a.
Why did he pick Schmittler?
Well, I was just describing that answer to you. Okay, you're gonna keep asking the same question while I'm answering it.
There are thousands of other generals throughout our history, world history, that he could have compared. Why did he pick Schmittler?
But he could bring up millions of other generals, and no one would know who they were.
It's because you don't care, Scott. You are a fascist as well, and you don't give a shit about America.
Oh, come on! You can't even tell me what it is.
What? I can't tell you what is.
I asked you how Trump is a fascist, and you couldn't do it.
Ultranationalism, cronyism, sexism, fraudulent elections, supremacy of the military, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He checks every box. All 14 tenets of fascism. He checks them all. He's an autocrat. He wants to terminate the Constitution. He wants to violate American citizens'
rights.
No,
he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He's talked about it.
So back that up. So what's the quoting?
That he wants to terminate the Constitution?
Yes.
So when I do it for you, you're going to accept it, or are you going to run and you're going to make an excuse?
I'll respond, but go ahead.
Cool. All right. So are you one of those people who believes that the 2020 election was stolen from him?
I mean, I believe it's possible,
no,
but I'm not.
Oh my God.
You're a fascist. I'm not even wasting my fucking time.
Jesus Christ on a, and this is the whole thing, right? People like Scott are grasping at straws. That's the only thing that's going on right now. If you are sitting in the same box as Scott, don't even try to defend. Don't use the same talking points. Things have been over. Things have been over with. We have proven things otherwise. Biden has made the country better. He actually put country over party and himself stepping down. Kamala is now the nominee. Kamala is going to win the election. Just sit there, cry, and then seek therapy. Like,
as a reminder, friends, when you get people in the corner like that, do not let them up. Ask them specifically, why would you pick Schmittler? If you don't want to be connected to Schmittler, if you don't want to be compared to the Yahtzees of the past, then why do you keep bringing up their rhetoric? Why is it that John Kelly, in meetings with Trump, said that Schmittler did some good things? If you don't want to be compared to a Yahtzee, then how about this? Don't be a fucking Yahtzee. It's pretty simple. Pretty freaking simple.
I can't get over. I mean, genuinely, if you're sitting there and you are still supporting him, please rethink yourself.
They don't care. Scott doesn't care. Spoopy Cat, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Not much. I live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I have that loser Jack Bergman on my ballot. Anything I should know as a Michigan voter? Because this is like my first presidential election. I'm 21.
That's great.
I mean, technically you're a part of Canada, being someone from the LP, but we still love you anyways. I think the biggest thing, especially in the state of Michigan and everything that Whitmer has done to benefit the Michigan people, I mean, granted, we're still suffering with Flint right now. I mean, Flint is still actively struggling. I would keep looking at a good governor that keeps good policies, and especially with Kamala and what she wants to do, I would still keep your eye wanting to keep Michigan blue, because that's what benefits everyone that is in Michigan, even you Yoopers up there, even though there's like, what, 5 of you? Maybe?
Have
Yeah,
you made
it's
up your
like
mind
people
yet?
actually live up here. Dang.
Spoopy, have you made up your mind yet who you're going to vote for?
Yeah, Kamala.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. I mean,
Yeah, I can't support a loser like Trump.
Right. Well, this is the point that I want to make sure everybody understands. This, politics is not a spectator sport. You have to be involved. Your advocacy and your activism does not end on election day. I would encourage everyone out there to hold your elected officials accountable. Congressional voting records are public information. If there's something you're passionate about and you found out that the vote that you thought was going to pass didn't pass or failed, you go to the congressional record and you call up every candidate. Every elected official has what's called constituency services. They are there to be responsive to the constituency. Ask them, why did you vote no on this issue? Why did you vote yes on this issue? Demand response. That is how you make politics work. So that'd be my suggestion, Spoopy, right? And in our Discord, we have a thing. It's called Vote Fast. It's the bluevoterguide.org. Again, bluevoterguide.org, friends. There's a lot of information about election information, about poll location hours, stuff like that.
Okay.
Get her done.
Absolutely. Also, there's been this advertisement that's been showing up at my work lately. It's claiming that Kamala Harris wants to ban gas vehicles or something.
Of course.
I don't know exactly how it's going,
Well,
but
California has
that
an
is
initiative.
absolutely not true. I know.
I know it's not true.
Not
Think
true.
about what you're getting. This is the desperation, and there's sadly people in our country that are going to believe
How
it.
is that even legal or
free speech, man?
Logically fair?
Free speech. Free speech.
Yeah, I see.
Well, thank you,
I guess
Spoopy.
that's
Congratulations. Welcome to the electorate.
double-edged.
Again, remember, hold your elected officials accountable, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
I'll bring up Nikki. We'll do quick mod announcements, and then we'll get right back into it, and we'll go till noon today. Quick being the operative word.
Hello. Yes, bluevoterguide.org is great. It will you put your zip code in or your area and everything. It'll tell you who's running, what they stand for. It'll explain like your measures and stuff like that. So it's a very good thing for anybody that needs any kind of information. It'll also tell you in your areas if you are allowed to, not allowed to wear things to the polls. I wouldn't suggest it. Somebody got in trouble here in Georgia yesterday. So just, very good information. Anybody that needs a Discord link, that is in our Discord. It's in our down ballot, our Don't Boo Vote channel. All of that stuff is in there too. You guys, we are doing amazing. We're only at 540,000 likes though, so if y'all can keep power tapping, let's see, what time is it? Let's see if we can get to 1 million. I don't know if y'all can do it, but we're gonna try. Remember to send the heart me up at the top. It shows engagement in the live, and it really does help boost everything out and going. In Fax's Discord, we have a whole bunch of information, suggestions, channels, everything. Our community is absolutely unbelievable. I cannot tell you how hard he has worked to build this, and in 8 days all the mods are gonna go on strike for a week. But we are absolutely loving this. So in his Discord is also we have money that we're raising for a friend of ours that is really heavy vet bills. The links are in there also. You guys can do that.
The garbage.
Yeah, the garbage. I know. And I just want to tell you guys that y'all are doing this. Steve says that elections are about contrast, and we are seeing this contrast, and they are loud, but together we are louder and we are more. And they just put out a revised number that there was 100,000 people at the thing last night.
Yep.
So
that's what we're hearing. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
I appreciate
So
you.
you guys are doing awesome. Keep tapping, keep sharing, and we will see you again in the morning. And just if you guys have any questions, tell one of us mods in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you, Olive.
Love you, Mom. Also,
All right.
real quick, Steve, I do got to drop off. I got to go educate some children. So,
Please
as
do.
always, I love you so much. I appreciate you always. I appreciate everyone on your team. And again, 6 days till herstory.
Preach.
And we're going to continue to move forward. But I will see you guys around on these TikTok streets.
Thank you, Olive. See you later. Have a great day.
Bye, Steve. Bye, guys.
All right. We'll go till noon, friends. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much. And thank a mod. Hearts in the chat for mods everywhere. K-Dan, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what y'all were talking about earlier with the mom boys and the dad boys. I have a 19-year-old son, and just a couple years ago, he came to me and was telling me that while he was in middle school, so a very young age, he had gone down an alt-right hole on YouTube.
Sure.
And was listening to all of the information he was getting from that. And I don't remember this particular conversation, but he said that he came to me one day and brought up something that they were talking about. I couldn't tell you right now what it was. And I gave him my side of it, or what I thought about it. I didn't know he had heard this from someplace on YouTube or anything like that. And he told me, like I said, a couple years ago that, I thought about what you said, and I thought, oh, I should probably start looking into other places to get this information from, and start, thinking about who I'm listening to, or, whatever it was. And luckily he stopped going down that hole. And I think to myself now, like, oh my gosh, what if he had continued? Because I know lots of his friends have gone down that hole. Sure. And I hear some of the things that they say, and it's just astounding. And I come from a very devout Catholic family. I am not a practicing Catholic, but whose parents were progressive and liberal, though. And we talked about politics all the time in our home. And so it was just kind of normal to me to have that conversation with my son, not knowing the impact it could potentially have on where he went in the future. So it's there, it's out there, and our kids are accessing it. And it can be quite scary in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy for young boys. We always talk about the threats online, and oftentimes we talk about the threats to our daughters, and that's real. I'm not saying it's not, but there's also this threat level for young men as well. And exactly as you just described it, it's easy to go down these rabbit holes. You're drawn into this community, and the Andrew Tate effect had to do with his wealth, right? So what he did is he connected his wealth, and that got the people interested. Say all these fancy cars and all this money, and then similarly to Trump, once you get the hook baited in the mouth, then the misogyny, the racism, the bigotry, the sexism, the abuse, all of that becomes part of it. So then in the mind of an easily impressionable young man to say, oh, so I get all those things, but I'm part of that is that I can treat women any way I want because that's what they want. That's the danger.
Yeah.
So good for you for being involved. That's what it takes.
Yeah, well, that's what was my point, was have these conversations with your boys, because it's important. Yep. You don't know what else they're hearing necessarily.
Indeed. I appreciate you, friend. Thanks for being here.
You.
You got it. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Fucking scary. So scary. So scary. My gosh. Excuse me. Randy, how are you today?
Oh, hey, I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So I just wanted to bring up a couple of points that, what was his name, kind of brought up. The inflation.
Right.
First of all, independent voting for Harris.
Excellent.
Oh, sorry, I just put my baby girl down for her nap, so you caught me at a perfect time.
I got you.
So what people want to see on the surface is, oh, I'm paying so much more for everything I'm getting. Oh, the grocery store, but they don't realize is the business itself is ballooning these prices. It's not the government.
Correct.
Like, interesting. Did you hear about McDonald's? I know this seems like really, really off topic.
Their price
But
hikes?
no. Okay, well, yes. But McDonald's is actually suing the middleman who's distributing the beef because they're ballooning the prices on both sides.
Right. So that's part of what price gouging would be. So again, so MAGA thinks price gouging would be, you know, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whoever walking into like their grocery store with a like, little price gun and putting, you know, new prices. That's not what it is. Price gouging goes after the conglomerates, the monopolies. The one I like to use is that fertilizer. There's like 3 companies in our country that have like 90% of the fertilizer market. So they can set the price and then everybody else is subjected to pay those high prices. So when you use legislation to go after people, corporations specifically, who do that level of price gouging, that's how you make a difference. And you open it up. You guys are all about free trade or in open markets and the free market and capitalism. Well, that's how you do it. So.
Yeah, it's the market. It's the meat distributors going to the farmer saying, hey, there's not a lot of people, like there's not a lot of demand, and they're like lowballing them basically for their meat, for their cows, and then turning around to people like McDonald's and going, well, there's just not a lot of beef. You got to pay more because, you know.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
they're creating this shortage that's not actually real. And another example. Sorry, I kind of go down the rabbit hole when I look at these things because there's always things beneath the surface, which a lot of MAGA people don't want to look into. Is another company that's being sued is like Kroger and a few grocery stores.
Yep. Kroger, they've gone on record.
For price gouging.
Correct. They've gone on the record
above
for price
inflation.
gouging, raising the rates above the inflation rate. Exactly. I appreciate that, Randy. I've kept a lot of people in the box and try to get some more folks in here, but I appreciate that. Enjoy that little baby.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right, bye.
You too.
Again, opportunity economy, right? So can you be objective? Can you genuinely be objective and say that you favor tax cuts for the rich over tax cuts for the middle class? How can you be objective and sit there and honestly say that? We are all the working fucking poor. We are all the ones that are at the whim of corporations, and you vote against, and you don't want your elected officials to go after them for price gouging. You continue to defend corporations, which, by the way, is a tenet of fascism. Corporate power prioritized at the expense of unions, at the expense of the middle class worker, at the expense of everybody below the magic number of whatever that wealth market is. How could you be opposed to that? You get angry. You get angry about a policy that wants to put $25,000 in the hands of American consumers who want to buy a house. And you've been told that that's going to raise the housing price. Well, you're wrong about that too. You get angry because Kamala Harris wants to invest so we can build 3 million new homes, more supply, right? Lowers the cost for these new builds. You get angry about that. You get angry that there's subsidies available for people who want to start a small business of up to $50,000. Why the fuck would you get angry about that? Oh, I know. Because the big scary Democrats are offering that, right? Come on. Why would you be opposed to any of that? Again, this is how we started the show today. You are looking for reasons to not vote for her, and you don't have any. You don't. The only thing you have is the fact that she's a black woman in America. Let's be real. That's it. There's no reason. I can guarantee you that if you had no idea who was the author of these policies, right? You had no idea. You remove the label, you remove the title, you remove the party affiliation, you remove the color. You just put these things down on paper and say, yeah, these things sound great. Oh, wait, it's a black woman's idea? Oh, they suck. I hate them. Or Democrats' idea? Oh, they're horrible. Socialism, communism, Marxism, all the isms, even though you don't know what they are. Stop being lied to. Stop allowing yourself to think things that are good for America are out to get you, the big scary boogeyman, because we want to prioritize human rights. Jesus, it's weird. KO, how are you today? KO? KO, are you there? KO might be sleeping or doing something else. Not sure. Ethan, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just want to get on here and say that you are my favorite, like, election-based politic, like, debate forum. I love watching every one of your lives every day that I can. It's just fantastic. That's all.
Thanks, man.
I'm
I appreciate that.
100% Harris supporter. So,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for saying that.
no problem. Have a good one.
You too. See you later. That was nice. Taking my flowers. Taking my flowers. KO, how are you
There
today?
you go. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, got you.
All right. First off, I want to say I'm a democratic socialist.
Okay.
We're so afraid of socialism.
You cut out there for a second, so we lost the first half of your sentence.
I said I'm a democratic socialist, and
Okay.
I don't understand why people are so afraid of socialism.
Because they've been told to be afraid of it.
Yeah, and that's something like I don't understand. Like I don't understand emotional politics or identity politics. Like you should be voting for someone that aligns with your views instead of just going with whatever red versus blue team. Like you should literally be looking at what aligns with you. Like what are your beliefs, what are your goals, because politics, it's personal. Like your vote is essentially putting your will out into the sphere for everyone to follow behind. So but anyway, I just wanted to get on and tell everybody to, if someone's telling you to be afraid of something, don't take their word for it. Read about it, look into it, and then make your own judgment.
Agreed. Very well said. Truly vote for what matters to you instead of what you think matters to you. Vote
Yeah.
for what truly matters. Thanks, KO. Appreciate you being
You're
here.
welcome. And Kamala, go Kamala. Go Walls.
Go Kamala. I agree. Thanks a lot, brother. That's the ultimate goal here, right? To get people to truly vote for their best interests on occasion. That would be nice. Kayla Dinger, can you please request? Everybody wants it. Everybody wants you to show up and have a chat. You know, I promise, Kayla, I don't bite. I nibble, but I don't bite. So if you would like to request, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. See if there's anything breaking that we need to keep our eyes on. I don't see anything necessarily. Okay. Kayla, please request. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants me to talk to you, Kayla. So please, if you would mind, request, and I can bring you right up. I have to have a conversation with you. Come on, Kayla. Endless, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Just wanted to say I love your discourse. It's calm, it's concise, and it's been helping me when speaking to people on the fence, rather than saying why I want to vote or why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Why would they want to vote? I mean, it's plain and simple. It's clear to me, right? It's clear to anyone with sense, but those who are misguided. But I miss the times where I could vote for myself. You know, I'm the first generation of my family born in the United States, son of two very successful immigrants. And I don't even want to talk about that. Yeah, there's a lot of policy and misinformation about surrounding immigrants, and that hurts me. But I'm not fighting for my bodily autonomy. You know, I'm not fighting for equal rights. You know, I feel for the women in my life and the women who aren't in my life who are lost that ability to make their own choices. And that's why I'm voting. You know, we can talk, there's so many reasons to vote, but that's number one for me. And, but I appreciate your discourse, and I'll get off your live with that. Thanks for everything you contribute.
I appreciate you, friend. Thanks for saying that. You have a good day. We've talked about this a million times, right, you guys? I mean, we're all entitled to have our opinions on anything. I know abortion is a big topic, and I know, firearm rights are a big topic. We can all have our opinions on those things. The only thing the left has been saying forever, right, is that we just want people to they have the ability to make these decisions for themselves, right? Like, why would you want the party that claims to be about, I don't want the government in my business, but yet every chance you get to vote, you vote for the government to be in somebody else's business as long as it's not yours? You want to protect the kids, but you don't want to do anything about helping keep kids alive in schools, right? You're pro-life, right? Until that child's born. And then you don't give a shit. Just be consistent. That's all. Have a conversation. You're right. Or feeding them or making sure they have a good education. Should I read this again? Mods, should I read the March for Life thing again? You guys let me know. It's just this weird flex that you make specific to what you think you believe. You don't really stand for much. You just don't stand for much. All right, I'm going to read it. I think people have asked, so I'll read it. So what I want to read to you is this. It's just like it's a brief speech, but I think it's so incredibly necessary because I think it's just powerful. This was written by a woman by the name of Courtney Hood. It doesn't take very long. I just think it's necessary. This is exactly what we're talking about. Again, so this is for people in the chat who may not want to either admit that they're voting Republican, whatever that might mean, or they believe that they're pro-life, right? So, all right, let me just get some water here. To those participating in March for Life, first of all, good for you. Raise your voices, express your concerns, gather, make signs, do your thing. I won't call you names. I respect your rights to do this, and I respect your conviction. Second, be clear with your cause. You don't march for life. You march for the birth of a fetus. Think about this. At what age does this life stop mattering to you? When it's in the womb, you cry for it, you fight for it, you empathize with it, and you march for it. When it becomes 1 month old, you hope the mother supports it, feeds it, nurtures it. However, you don't support the mother in this endeavor. You think she should work hard, pull herself up by the bootstraps, and get on by her $7.25 minimum wage job. You vote for those who block legislation to protect its mother from violence, from making the same wage as men, from getting basic health care, from getting food stamps, and support to care for it. When it becomes 6 years old, you hope there's a public school around to teach it. Nevertheless, you vote for those who don't want to fund public schools. You vote for those who believe our schools are flush with cash, yet somehow failing. The wealthier kids that live by it are able to go to different schools, but this fetus is stuck at an overcrowded and underfunded public school, so it falls behind in reading and in math. You feel bad for it. You don't march for it. You mostly blame its single mother for not doing more to be involved in its schooling. She should do homework with it. She should read to it more. Maybe she should get it a tutor. Nonetheless, she works 2 jobs, but she's barely getting by. Now it's 14 years old. It's just had its first experience with a boy. It's not sure if it was safe with this boy, and it thinks it needs to go see a doctor. However, it's scared, and it's embarrassed, and it doesn't want to get into trouble with mom. Therefore, it looks for a Planned Parenthood in its area. They've all been shut down, but you feel no sympathy for it anymore. Now it's just a slut to you. You should have made better choices, been more Christian. It's no longer worthy of your support, and you don't march for it. Because you're not marching for life, you're marching for religion and righteousness and oppressing women with your outdated views of how they should behave. Therefore, it gets no prenatal care. It goes on living for the next 3 months wearing baggy sweatshirts and hoping no one notices. When its mom finally does notice, she tells it to get an abortion because they don't have the money to support another it. And because it is still a child trying to go to school and have a life. Again, you don't march for this life. You voted to make abortion illegal and you feel good. You feel right with God because you saved another fetus. This time it was given up for adoption. It joins more than 400,000 children in the U.S. foster care system. If it's lucky, it'll only spend the average of 3 years in foster care. If it's lucky, it won't fall into the 78% of those foster care children who experience some form of abuse. If it's lucky, it won't be one of the 80% of imprisoned people who spent some time in the foster care system. If it's lucky, it'll be one of the 50% of foster kids that graduate high school by the age of 18. If it's lucky, it'll be one of the 9% of former foster care kids that earn a bachelor's degree. If it's lucky, it'll be adopted before it turns 18 and is thrown out on the street to fend for itself. However, you don't march for those lives. Now it's 18. It's jumped from foster home to foster home to foster home. It doesn't have a family. It's depressed, emotionally damaged. It needs help. It could use some health care, but obviously can't afford it. It could use a job, but has no clothes and nowhere to stay. You avoid it on the streets, taking the long route to your car because hoping it doesn't stop to ask you for some change. You wish it would go somewhere else, anywhere but your neighborhood. It gets too hungry. It turns to sex work because it's the only option it has. It starts using illicit substances to numb the pain of the sex work. However, you don't march for this life. This life is a burden on society to you. This life is unchristian, unworthy of your tax dollars. This life should get its act together, overcome all odds, and become a self-made it, just like your granddaddy. However, when this life has a new life inside it, you'll again march. I know that's rough for many people to hear, but that's the reality of the life that we live in America, because there are so many people who do not care about anything other than the statement that they make that they want to protect life. And they don't. If you truly did, then you would do everything necessary, every step of the way. As a progressive, I want to overfund public schools. I want to raise the wages of teachers. I want to overfund childcare. I want to overfund public education in general. I want to make sure SNAP benefits are expanded. I want a society that has universal health care. That's it. It's not that hard. It just takes a look in the mirror to say, what matters to me? What matters? And again, there is no objective reason to not vote for Kamala Harris other than racism, bigotry, sexism. That's it. There's no other reason. You cannot justify it. You just can't. Thank you for letting me read that, friends. It's called A March for Life. It's in our Discord. Miss Mary, how are you today?
Hello, I'm good. I just feel very strongly about what you've been saying, that poem and everything. And I just keep hearing all the stories about the women that, not only the ones that are having problems getting health care after miscarriages or other health concerns, but the ones that are actually being charged or gone after because of fetal endangerment, because the danger of having fetal personhood. There's one in Alabama named Ashley Caswell, who was jailed for 15 years for fetal endangerment and then forced to give birth in the prison bathroom because they wouldn't take her to the hospital. So that child will not know their mother. They just wanted to take that baby. That's exactly the child that you were talking about in that poem that ends up in foster care.
Right.
And it's just sickening.
Yeah. I think sickening is the word. And again, I know people in MAGA that have been triggered by Joe Biden referring to them as garbage. But if you literally think about what we see every day and what we watch and how you treat women and how you treat the poor and how you treat veterans and how you treat active duty military and how you treat members of LGBTQIA, it's garbage.
Hold on. I can't hear you right now.
I got you. You still there, Miss Mary? Are you there? Are you still there, Mary? You can request again, Mary, if you want to come up. Sorry, it looks like you might have timed out there. Sorry about that. I'll bring up Blue Dot. Probably not going to get to everybody today, friends. My apologies. This has been a great live today. We'll go till noon. Thank you all for being here. Hey, friend, how are you? Blue Dot, my brother from another mother. How are you? You might have timed out, bro. Sorry about that. We'll try again. Mama G, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So, this whole thing is just so stressful. I'm in PA, and I'm a blue dot in my area. I'm like the only Kamala sign on my street, and there's Harris walls everywhere, or Trump everywhere, sorry. You know, and most of my neighbors are respectful, and there's never really been issues. My issue is my own parents. I'm 49 years old. I've never known my stepfather, who's always been a very wise, intelligent man, accepting, I thought, who is a Trumper. And over the last year or so, I've heard so many racial comments from his mouth. And it's heartbreaking, honestly. We're raising our granddaughter who is Black. And so she's in our home. And it's difficult for me to even, see my parents. And now I have friends, losing friends left and right, because I share things on Facebook because I'm terrified for the future of our granddaughters if Trump gets into office. And I just don't know how to reply to these people anymore.
Why do you have to?
I know I don't really. I have a daughter that's disabled, and she does like to spend time with my mom, and so I have to have interaction with them. It's so uncomfortable for me. And I so badly want to say, like, there are a lot of girls in our family, and I just want to know, like, why would you not fight for us? Why does Trump matter so much and we don't?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm not sure if this is working, but I've tried this tact a couple of times about how, we know, especially when it comes to, MAGA men in particular. So we use your example, right?
Yeah.
Would you give your last breath to your daughter or to your granddaughter? And of course they're going to say yes. Would you give your kidney? Yes. Would you give your heart? Yes. Would you give your entire body? Yes. I'm just asking for your vote. That's all I'm asking for. I'm just asking for your vote so that we can make decisions for ourselves without the government telling us. And if they can't answer that question, if they're saying, well, that's different, then that tells you what you need to know. And again, I know it's difficult and I can't speak to your family dynamic and I never would, but I've lost friends and I realized in hindsight, maybe they weren't my friends to begin with. If this is what they held in their heart, I didn't know. Shame on me for not knowing, but you're not obligated. You're doing what's right. You're protecting your daughter, granddaughter. You're doing what's right. It's
Yeah,
their loss, not yours.
that's true. Yeah,
It's
well,
their
if you
loss.
see my profile picture there, that's my granddaughter drew that picture of Kamala Harris for me.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful. But I'm going to put it on the big screen so more people can see it. There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you. She's 12 and she is aspiring to be an artist, and I will protect her. I would protect her with my life if I had to.
And I will too. And that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yep.
I feel it. I can hear it in your voice, and I think these conversations are so important because it's not on us, folks. We part again, a definitive difference between the right and the left in ideology is the right tends to vote for themselves. They say think about, you've heard the conversation we've had here. It's, well, my paycheck was bigger. I had more money in my bank account. My gas was cheaper. Never do they talk about the collective.
Right.
So when people ask me, what's important to me, I don't even get to the economy. I just don't, because it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Without the prioritization of human rights, what the fuck else matters?
Exactly.
And that's why we struggle so much when we hear people saying things like that, especially people in our family.
Oh.
You're doing it right, Mama G. You are doing it right. You are doing it right. Don't ever forget that.
Thank you. And thanks for all the comments.
It's their loss, right?
It is. It really is. Well, I feel in my heart that Kamala is going to win.
Me too.
And, I watched Dr. Arlene and you and several others. And I believe that on Tuesday, we're going to have a huge relief, and it's going to be okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Get there. We got you. We're voting for you and your granddaughter and members of your family, and I hope that others will follow suit.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you
Thank you,
taking
Nancy.
time. Yeah.
You got it. Have a good day.
You too.
The stories just are so just gut wrenching. They just pull. I think we'll wrap right there. Look, you guys, 6 days. You know, we contrast, right? We saw it last night. We saw it over the weekend. You can decide. You can decide the kind of America that you want. You can decide if you genuinely believe in the future, opportunity, the expansion of rights for others, protections for those that need protecting in our society. Remember that poem, right? We don't want other. We want people to be able to rise in our economy, an opportunity economy, people to be able to take advantage of the things that are given, to go back to the things that matter to them. Or do you just want to be fueled by hate? Do you just want to be fueled by anger and rhetoric and violence and all those things? And yet, you go into these spaces and no one can defend it. Everyone's looking for a parachute. Everybody's looking for a way out. How do I get out of this thing? Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll mention something that's not even related. That's 30 years before. And then when pressed to say, why then would they use a reference to Adolf Schmittler? Why? Well, what about Biden? I mean, let's be real, okay? We're going to rate our friend Dirty Dan. And just in case you don't know, I can show you what he looks like. Because Dirty Dan is going to be part of our election coverage on Election Day, and I'll use this opportunity to remind folks of that. So on Tuesday, starting at 8 a.m. with yours truly, then we'll go to our friend Danny, and then that's Dirty Dan, and then Dirty Dan from 4 to 8, and then Pickles from 8 until past midnight. Our plan is that we're going to be bouncing back and forth between all of us. So at that point, Danny will probably join in the morning, Dan will probably join in the morning, Pickles will join, and then throughout the day, we'll all be sort of working with each other as we try to cover defending democracy. 6 days until history, ladies and gentlemen. 6 days. Thank you, mods. Thank you, guests. Thank you, gifters. Thank you, subscribers. Appreciate you all very, very much. You guys are amazing people. We could not do this without you, so thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Again, we're going to raid our friend Dirty Dan. Tell him we said hi, and then we'll see you tomorrow.